Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. We're coming to you live from the Ligony Club in New Kingston, Jamaica. Good morning, Delroy Henry. I just have to greet you by name because sometimes I feel like you're here before me. Good morning
This is
to
morning
you.
tea.
Those who join us online and on air. You know, we love to be here for you as you start your day. Good morning to the crew back in the studio and those here with us at the Ligony Club, and especially my co-host, Pastor Percival Palmer. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. It's such a kind of a chill morning.
Yes, it is.
It looks a bit overcast, but it's really actually very cool. I think the time is changing again. We would come out at this time and there'd be sun.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago,
Yeah,
we'd
it
see
is
sun.
bright sun.
And yeah.
Bright sunny day.
Right. Now it's well, we are in our hurricane season. And though we're not getting any kind of bad weather, you can tell that the season has shifted a little bit. The season has shifted spiritually too, in many, many ways. There's a wave of something horrible that is stalking our country, and we're resisting it with all our might. We're giving a shout out to those who lost their homes and all their belongings in central Kingston, where terrorists, I have to call them terrorists,
But they are. There's
Yeah.
not a termination for them.
arsonists burnt out the homes. Over 30 persons left
it-
homeless. Children lose everything: school books, school uniform, mothers, old people, sick people, whatever your condition. That is how they were left homeless. And while they probably wouldn't even be listening at this hour, but we still just want to show some solidarity and love by mentioning them at the earliest point, and to as many of you are no doubt thinking, how can I help? Well, when your house burned down and you've lost everything, you need pots and pans and plates and spoons and clothing, everything that you can imagine a household would need to survive. They need it. So there are many of us who are putting together whatever we can from whatever we have. And as the day goes on, and perhaps even into the coming week, we're going to be talking about the kind of relief that we can, the outreach, the helping hand that we can extend to those who have suffered such a terrible loss. I don't know, you do get these incidents from time to time, but this one, man, I think it's because it's been reported that even as they're appealing for help, we're hearing from official quarters that the resources can't stretch to cover everybody to the point where they can feel secure in their homes, or even feel that there is sufficient relief out there for them. I am going to reach out to...
You're referring to the Prime Minister.
Yes, I'm referring to the Prime Minister's response.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But I don't want to keep bashing him, because the truth is, you're standing there and the people are looking at you and asking, and you know that resources are not infinite.
Mm-hmm.
So you answer. One of the things that I've come to realize is that there are some individuals who carry such authority that it's better they say, let me think about what can be done and get back to you. But don't say all that is in your mind in the heat of the moment, because you can't take it back.
Yeah, because once you let it out there, it's gone.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
I was just thinking, when you talk about house, Psalms 127 says, unless the Lord builds
the house,
those who build the house labors in vain. Do you think we have to start a new building in terms of reigniting the...
when we talk about reigniting the nation for greatness?
Yes. think we have to go back down to foundations and dig out some of the things them and
Well, Percival, the same fire that purges also destroys.
and cleanses.
Yes. So the truth of the matter is, whatever it is we are doing now, whether some think it's a blessing and some think it's a curse, it is really just a matter of what you do next that determines. This is a bit of revisionist history because you can look at the fire as the greatest loss of your life because everything you had up to that moment, which was in that house, has been destroyed. But it can also be the greatest opportunity of your life because it allows you to, you say, rebuild. It allows you to build something new, something that is exactly what you wanted and would have chosen. It allows you to be bold and to really be persistent in seeking what you desire, because what do you have to lose? You just lost everything.
That's true.
So you can knock on any door and say, listen, man, I need a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
You used to live in 2, but you might say, 2 I was really squeezing up myself to fit in 2 because 2 was what I had.
But no,
But I want a 4-bedroom
so-
house.
So what you're saying, you can look at calamity in a different light, and that allows you to move forward. Use it as a foundation for a new start in terms of what has happened in your life.
Yes, let it lift you. Remember we looked at the law of lift,
Yeah,
which defies gravity.
because I'm just thinking in terms of a lot of persons who have suffered major setbacks in their lives, and depending on how you view or see it, you can just stay there, or you can say, as you've been saying, this is an opportunity to shift, to build, to move forward with a new vision for what the Father is doing in my own time and in my own existence. So again, I'm just reminding each one of us, it's dependent on your perspective of the situation. Is this an opportunity for growth? Is this an opportunity to move on? Is this an opportunity to jettison some of the things that have been holding you back? Or you're wishing, boy, I was there. I just think presently in our nation, this is an opportunity to move forward in new ways with new thinking. And as Dr. Canute Thompson had said, even in terms of our educational system, which is the foundation of any future economic prosperity that we need to have in this country, there are things that we must do. We have to shift the paradigm, and we have to move forward with a bold new vision for where it is that we need to go. And as we come up to our break, yes, it is a bold new time to break from the past and begin afresh with the new opportunities that we have.
Yes, sir. Good warm up for the wedding that you're gonna do in a little while.
Really?
Yes, I see you. All right, please stay with us. We're gonna be right back. It's our first break of the day this morning.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876 276 8935. That's 276 8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876 276 8935.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876 276 8935. That's 276 8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM. Welcome back to The Morning Connection. And let me just say a shout out to the Ligani Club family. We continue to be greatly appreciative of the allowance they give us to be here early in the morning. We're right in the dining pavilion. Well, we're kind of outside the alfresco part of the dining pavilion. The rooms are above us. I hope we are not disturbing the guests. We try our best to be discreet, but they allow us to come in from 5:30 to set up, and it's been a real blessing that Pastor Percival and I can be outdoors for at least one morning. So thank you to the Ligani Club for allowing the Morning Connection to do this here, and to JD's Urban Pub. They look after us. We are able to use their furniture. They feed us. And we do talk about the excellence of the food and the service. One or two of the ladies who come out early in the morning have become family to us, especially to Pastor Percy, who never forgets a name or a face.
Yeah. Catherine.
I don't think they're paying you any mind. And by now, we're even getting to know some of the long-term guests.
Oh, well, yes. Right.
There's one gentleman who comes out, he hunts coffee early in the morning by 6:15.
That's his coffee.
Yes, he's looking for his coffee, but it's really beautiful here. And if you are in the Kingston area on business, or you're just passing through, you're in transit somewhere else, the Ligani Club is a wonderful place to lay your head. JD's Urban Pub will give you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're right in the heart of New Kingston, close to the banks, close to the other hotels. If you, want to see what's happening elsewhere, they have possibly the largest collection of sporting facilities under one roof, so to speak. 8 tennis courts, 6 squash courts, a large swimming pool that can cater to your needs, whether you're an avid swimmer or just one of those lazy persons who hang out by the edge paddling, I suspect my niece does. And, Pastor Percival, are you a strong swimmer?
It's interesting that you say that. Last night I had a dream that I was swimming.
You're a strong swimmer.
No, I don't know
Oh
if I
my
was
goodness,
swimming against
really?
the tide. No, seriously, I'm just, I don't know what happens to me, but each time I have a dream.
Yes.
In the last couple of weeks, I've been having some very interesting dreams, and last night I dreamt
You were swimming.
I was swimming. I was swimming, and we are.
He's a strong dream swimmer. The producer want to know what's the answer to the question.
No, the answer
Were you
to the-
swimming with strength and vigor?
Yes,
And
but
the
it looks
waters
like
did
I was
not
swimming
cover over you?
Looks like I was swimming against the tide.
And you were, well,
And those are implications, you know. We're
Yes,
doing
Lux,
right now at school,
let us
at
look at
church.
Pastor's dream.
Yeah, it was
Were you
swimming.
naked?
No, I had on my swim trunks.
Okay, good. So that is a very positive part of the dream.
Well, I just remember, yes.
You were dressed for the occasion because it meant you didn't get thrown into the pool.
No, I was thrown into the pool. but
Unprepared.
I was in the ocean, actually. I'm swimming, yeah. And I was saying I was doing the backstroke and the different strokes. I'm saying, I'm not able to do that in real life. That was what was happening here. Not
New
serious.
talent, new skills.
Yeah, just, yes. It's interesting that you
Yeah,
mentioned that.
you know,
It just triggered.
I'm prophetic.
It just triggered.
I
and-
claim it.
Yeah, but you've been called prophetic.
Yeah.
Prophetess, you remember? The lady
Yes, yeah, I
called you
know. The more I exercise, the more apparent it is. If we talk about your dream, man, do you want me to? Do you want me to?
We're having a dream interpretation course, right?
No, you
as
want
we
me to just remind you of your dream and then interpret it?
No, that would be out of this world because that's a skill
That's
that
Daniel.
had. Yes.
And my son is Daniel.
Yes.
So, in all of that. Yeah, but wow. I love it when these things happen, you know?
So I kept going, really? Yeah. I just reflected on it and the fact that you spoke about swimming. I'm saying, yes, I had a dream last night doing backstroke and breaststroke and just enjoying myself where I was swimming. I'm saying, okay, all right. That's
Had you been watching that video of the swimming pool in the middle of the St. Thomas Road?
no. no.
There's a video
Going about
making
the
the rounds because
They're doing
the
the-
road has broken away or something.
because of the work they're doing?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And someone was explaining to me, I think it was like a dumped up part
Yes.
of the roadway, and the sea has reclaimed it.
Oh, sea always does that.
Water does that.
All the
Let
time.
me tell you.
All over. And you see,
So, and it's deep enough for somebody to like dive in it.
and somebody actually dove in it.
Oh yes. And there was a man on a little floaty, a yellow floaty, paddling away in the middle of it, looking.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, you need to hunt it down. It's hilarious. And somebody saying only in St. Thomas. I didn't know that St. Thomas was that whimsical. I think of St. Thomas as arid and dry and boring. No. St. Thomas have swimming pool in the middle of the road,
That was-
deep blue looking water.
I was even thinking about that. I was thinking of the Plantation Garden River in St. Thomas that works the opposite way. It's one of the rivers, I say. Rivers normally flow from east to west or west east, one of them, but it does it differently. You know that in Germany.
It's a Jamaican river.
Yeah.
It does it differently.
Well, but that is something about us. We always go against the flow of where we need to be or to go. And so that is why I believe, even as we are celebrating 60 years, Jamaicans have gone into situations and have just, them not take it. Them say, we are not taking this. You guys have been here such a long time, but we are not up to that. We are charting a new course. And I believe very strongly, even as we were talking about rebuilding and what the circumstances have done, whether fire or destruction, we must now chart a new course as a country. And that needs to be a collective thing for us to say, no. Enough is enough. This is not taking us anywhere at all. So we need to move forward with the same kind of charisma, character, perseverance that we have when we go in other countries, when we're in other places. Have you ever been to a community and all the houses look one way and you can know where the Jamaican
Oh,
or
yes.
the West Indian lives?
Oh,
Their
yes.
house looks different from any other house if you know that that is where the Jamaican lives. Simply by how they take care of the house or how it stands out in
Yeah, 'cause
terms of
we're-
what they have done to it.
We're very house proud.
Yes, ma'am.
We're very house proud. We're having two guests this morning, so let's just say a little something about our guests this morning. You know that we've been talking about the wealth of culture and the culture of wealth. Last week Thursday, we had we had Mr. Vivian Crawford. Every time I think of Mr. Crawford, I am tempted to say Dr. Vivian Crawford. I don't know what it means.
Serious?
Yes.
He's gonna receive a
Yes, an honorary doctorate.
Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true, because he'd be quite a distraction in any classroom should he go back to study. so
Really,
so it will be conferred. It is going to be conferred on him for his tremendous and exceptional service to culture in the area of culture, to this country in the area of culture. But last week we spoke to Dr. Crawford. I can call him Dr. Crawford now that you have prophesied it.
Yeah, because
you have confirmed it.
Yeah, because he just different. Him on a different planet. I would say them the same. Them different.
In different
planet.
Well, he certainly could get the honorary doctorate for his wit and good humor.
Yes, man.
But he
And
was with us. He was with us last week, and I can only imagine what it will be like at this table when he's here in person.
Yes, man.
Yeah, we probably have to we'll have to make special arrangements. Anyway, he was with us last week, and I think yesterday I was pulling up information on the Jamaican artist whom he spoke of, Mr. Anderson, Hervin Anderson, just to say to another Jamaican, this is a recent event in the life of a Jamaican artist whose work has been acknowledged at this level. Just take heart and know that, and
10
what
million pounds are above.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that Mr. Anderson look like us.
But it's just a thing.
No, there are some Jamaicans who could be American,
But they look
English, Irish. There are some Jamaicans, for example, Gladwell Maxwell, who writes these wonderful books and grew up in Walker's Wood.
I know his auntie, yeah.
And you know his auntie. Well, you look at him and he could be from several other places. But you look at Mr. Anderson, he's either Jamaican or African.
Yeah.
But you see that that buzz of familiarity. You recognize him because he looks like us, and that's what I love about it. And I'm not here, there's no bigotry or any racist sentiment behind it. I just love it when I look at someone and I feel at home.
Identify.
And there's just something about Jamaican names. I can hear a name called out and I say, that's a Jamaican. You just hear it, and there's something of us, the spirit that you catch in it. Yes. Do you know what I remember when Pastor Alf Lukau prophesied to Marsha, and even though he mispronounced her name,
Marsha.
He said Masha Blackgrove.
Masha Blackgrove.
I said that is a Jamaican. I just I hear the name being spoken, and right away I knew. There's just a way that we pair names that has some kind of musicality to it.
Or even we say it as Jamaican.
And this was a French-speaking African man calling her name, but it's just the pairing of the names. I said that's a Jamaican.
I feel like is French speaking.
He's from the RC.
Oh,
was born. So he's French speaking, but he speaks English. But you can tell he thinks in French by, the construction of his sentences. But just the way, there's just something, I don't know, you can talk to me about it next week.
As they talk about that, I know Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes.
Auntie is Faith Linton. That's her name.
Oh, Faith taught me at St. Hilda's.
Yes, the same lady. What a wonderful lady.
Yes, she
Shout
is.
out to her. She might be listening. Yeah, she
might be listening.
Yeah, might be listening.
Oh,
we don't even know that what is happening.
You taught me in St. Hilda's. This is Minette.
Yes.
Hi, Miss Faith.
Yeah, man. She's a wonderful teacher.
Yes.
Wonderful and Bible teacher. And she has written a couple of books too.
Yes.
In terms of...
Hey, the St. Hilda's girls don't go on too badly,
No, and she's a wonderful lady. She has great faith. Oh, wow.
There was I'm digressing a bit. We were talking about our guests. We'll return to the guests. There was a kind of eloquence and gentility and just style.
About
And
her.
to not just her, but there are some teachers of yesteryear who had a polish which sort of belied even their level of education. It seemed to have been a cultural thing for teachers to carry themselves a certain way and to speak a certain way. You would not hear teachers being ungracious in their tone. Some of the things that certainly the school I went to, you would not experience a certain degree of crassness or rudeness or inconsiderate talk from a teacher.
That's true. And as you speak about that time, a shout out to Miss Orr, who taught English at Calabar High School. And again,
Is she
Brenda
listening?
Robinson. You never know.
Well, she's gonna tell you to stop doing certain things
Miss
with the
Orr.
English that she taught you
Yes.
so beautifully.
Yes.
You'll have to tell her it's a lisp that you developed. Say you
Brenda
developed a lisp
Robinson,
later in
yes.
life. She's gonna be saying, "Is that Percy?"
It's the same way she respond, you know. Are you kidding me? I saw
All right, I'm
her.
gonna stop showing off.
I saw her in one of those stores and
Yes.
I said, hi. And she said, oh, I remember you. And then right at that point in time, another old boy came up and she said, oh, and she was all over.
Oh my
all over.
goodness.
I couldn't believe it, but yes. Miss
All right,
Orr.
so then it's more likely that the teachers of our generation had that quality. So if I were to just dramatize how my grade 3 teacher would have spoken to me, it would be the same way.
yes.
It's not because I know what's her name? Your Miss Orr?
Miss Orr.
Yeah, it's not because I know Miss Orr, but she would hear say, but surely Percy knows better.
That's the same way.
That's how they spoke.
That's the same way she would have spoken, believe it or not. Same way.
All right, so I'm very old-fashioned. Finally, you know it. Anyway, we're having two guests. One is, let me get his rank. I'm terrible with ranks. Assistant Superintendent of Police, Victor Barrett. Now, Mr. Barrett is very well known because he is always on TV.
Oh, well,
Addressing-
yes, I'm ready this morning.
Yes,
Okay.
he's always on TV. Anywhere you find a super high value haul seizure of counterfeit goods, the policeman, the charming and good looking policeman who is
Okay.
explaining to you the dangers, that would be Mr. Barrett.
Thought you said the charming, good looking. I thought you were referring to the producer, but anyway.
I don't know what's going on between you and the producer, but please cut me in on the check when it is passed. Whoever is paying whom. Is this payola?
I don't know about that.
When you get paid to sing the praises? Yeah, but no, Victor is I've met him in a professional context, and he very willingly, readily agreed to spend some time with us. They do some very important work, but I'm going to find out if it's mostly for the foreign owners of intellectual property rights.
Or it is happens for us as Germans.
Or if it precisely somewhere across the world, there are policemen storming into stores and saying, what is that? Not made in Jamaica.
That's not made in Jamaica. It's
All
made in,
right.
it says Jamaica, but it's not
But
made in
it-
Jamaica.
yes.
It's made in China.
So, because we know that intellectual property rights constitute a very large percentage of the world's wealth, let me tell you, just look at all the luxury brands, the Gucci, the Fendi, the Yves Saint Laurent, the Escada,
You know them?
to name a
You know
few.
Michael Kors. That's it.
Oh, you know Michael Kors, the Michael Kors,
Oh.
Givenchy. There are some brands that
The
when,
knockoff.
if you were
It
to
happens
kind
with
of
phones too,
put
you
them
know.
on one balance sheet, between technology and fashion,
Mm-hmm.
and these are mostly consumer items.
Mm-hmm.
They're goods, yes, because technology, fashion, and there's a lot of intellectual property rights in motor vehicles as well. The high-end cars, any luxury product
You
of
can have
any
knockoff cars,
kind.
no?
No, the parts.
Oh, the parts. Okay, no, I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, because when you go to the no,
You want a
interesting, you know.
knockoff car?
I was wondering. No, but
This
I
is
know when you
hilarious.
go to the parts store, them
Yes,
say you want
man.
genuine.
Aye, there you
You
go.
want genuine. It's no, you want genuine. Japanese
or
the,
generic.
Yes. So they ask you, and the price difference is real.
It's real.
It's
Okay.
real.
There you go. So can you imagine then if you could if you have a genuine part that costs $1,000 and the knockoff or the down market is $200, but you could somehow sell the down market at the cost of the genuine part. And honestly, how many of us can tell the difference?
Most people can't. You tell the difference is after 3 months with the car part.
That's how your money go.
Have to buy it again.
That time your money done burn already. So there you understand that there is a tremendous amount of value in intellectual property rights, and as I was saying to Pastor earlier, it is not about quality. Sometimes the quality of the knockoff is better than the quality of the real thing.
You serious?
It is all in the brand.
Okay.
The brand value. Yes, because I've bought there are some designer things that I have favored over the years. And I have I'll have a piece which I now call vintage because I've had it for more than 10 years.
Wow.
I will have a vintage item from a designer that is more than 10 years old, and I will purchase piece today, sometimes from the same designer, and the one purchased today don't make it to the end of the year
Are you kidding me?
because the quality has changed so significantly, but the price is constant.
It's the same.
Yes. Or even more because if the brand gets even
It's all in the name, brand.
So it is in the name. It's in the name. It's in the name.
That happened like with stickers, MJs.
What that happens with what?
Sneakers.
Yes.
Sneakers.
Obviously.
MJs. When Michael Jordan was at
The peak of his career.
Yeah, man. And because of the deal he has, he will forever be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it
And sometimes all he does, of course, is license his name
Yeah, that's what it does.
to a product. If he's careful, he'll make sure that the product matches a certain quality.
Right.
But after he gets his license fee,
which is
he's not going to be able
income
to
that
make
keeps
sure that
coming
every
back.
single item
Yeah.
meets the quality that he desires when you're making for a global market. One of the most shocking things when the wireless AirPods became meaning
oh yeah.
meaning the truly wireless, unwired, nothing, just standing free, just the bud in your ear. When those became popular, I remember seeing a particular brand on advertised for let's say $250. I think it was Bose. I love Bose products. It was advertised for $250. And then one
Talking
evening,
US dollars, right?
US dollars.
Yeah.
And then one evening we're driving home and a vendor that Lowell kind of and has always supported, this guy just, really makes an effort, and he sells small electronic appliances. And we saw him and stopped, and he had a nice array of AirPods. Do you remember, Lowell? And he whipped out Bose. Beautiful black case. The branding is there. What was it, like $5,000? $5,000. It was about $5,000 for 5,000 Jamaican dollars for something that I saw advertised by Bose for $250 US.
Okay. So did you buy it?
Well, Mr.
Yes,
Barrett says.
Well, I supported him.
Mr. Barrett says,
So
if you are in possession of a counterfeit item, you are guilty of an
I'm happy
offense.
to say I'm not in possession of it now.
It never last.
I was trying to keep him out of danger, but he opened his own microphone and said way too much. You should do like President Trump, who has just pleaded the fifth. I saw a headline flash a while ago that President Trump has pleaded the Fifth Amendment.
In what?
Well, they went in and raided his house looking for documents which he removed from his presidential job. Found 12 boxes, and I just saw a headline that says he has pleaded the fifth. Hi, Earl Brown. Earl says them dig up the pool. There's no more pool. Apparently, the pool was short-lived. They couldn't take the pressure.
Pressure of the pool.
Of the pool.
It could have become a tourism.
It would have been an attraction.
A tourist
Yes,
attraction.
no, we couldn't have that. Oh boy. So, yeah. So anyway, Mr. Barrett is coming, and we'll have to make sure that he doesn't interrogate Lowell about the Bose AirPods.
But and I tell you something.
But
Even with phones,
it's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Even with phones,
Yeah.
okay. So, say you get a phone and it says you have to look clearly if it is a Samsung or a Samsung.
It's a Samsung.
You think a joke? No, seriously, man.
It's true.
Yes.
But it serves Samsung right, because Samsung most famously copied iPhone's technology and had to settle with them in $1 billion settlement after they put out the technology.
It could be
under their own brand.
a Samsung.
There's one too.
Yes, man.
By Jamaicans.
No, seriously, you go on the net and you see anybody can go and look and go and you say, all right, you're trying to, and you say, hold on, no man, that's
You have to look at it carefully.
to see
Well, this morning, Jody was telling me about Crocs,
Yes.
CROCS,
Yes.
and there's one called Cruise, CROES.
Yeah.
You have to look good to notice it's a E,
Yeah.
or in a quick move, like you're looking for Crocs. Oh, here, you can buy it and go.
I'm sure they have cracks.
You know what? Somebody need to close Lowell's mic. Those, all right, so those would be called passing off. Those wouldn't be counterfeit. Let's put some law in it. Those would be called passing off, where you name your goods and you even write the word in such a way. Your mark is fashioned so as to, in a passing glance, look like the other man's goods.
Is that deliberate?
It's deliberate, yes, because you're seeking to pass yours off as either being associated with or being the same as the other man's brand. But all we are emphasizing here, and let's get this solidly in the brain, what we're emphasizing is that there is a lot of value, perceived or otherwise, in the brand that you create. And that is what makes the goods counterfeit. When somebody mimics your brand, but it's not necessarily about the quality. Your counterfeit good might be better quality, be more durable, may even be aesthetically more pleasing, but it's not Fendi, it's not Gucci. And everybody come to know the big F and the big C and there is some. What it is that in our vanity, status and wealth and maybe even integrity is tied up in the appearance of things. It really is very shallow when you come right down to it. But hey, lots of money tied up in it.
It
And
comes in Wagga Wagga,
yeah.
as them said. Come in trailer
you
loads
keep
of
saying
money.
that. You know, you're the only person who I've ever heard say Wagga Wagga. Have you ever heard it? Anyone? I think you own that word. All right,
I might need to copy it. Wagga Wagga.
7 a.m. it is. Let's take our break.
So
STEM Uprising invites you to support their 5th annual blood drive and back to school treat at the Lionel Town Hospital on Friday, August 19th. The blood drive starts at 9 a.m. and you can join us at midday for the back to school treat. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, invite as many donors as you can, and you will be eligible to earn cash prizes starting at $10,000 for third place, $20,000 for second place, and first place prize of $50,000. And there's more! Free medicals for all students returning to school this September. Don't miss this opportunity to give blood and save lives. STEM Uprising invites you to support their 5th annual blood drive and back to school treat at the Lionel Town Hospital on Friday, August 19th. The blood drive starts at 9 a.m. and you can join us at midday for the back to school treat. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, invite as many donors as you can, and you will be eligible to earn cash prizes starting at $10,000 for third place, $20,000 for second place, and first place prize of $50,000. And there's more! Free medicals for all students returning to school this September. Don't miss this opportunity to give blood and save lives. Welcome to the Ligony Club. This beautiful property is nestled in the heart of New Kingston and is the single largest sporting facility in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
The Morning Connection is not your usual talk show. We aim to stimulate discussion and chart new paths to self-empowerment. So please join us, Minette and Percy, on The Morning Connection, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Best 100 FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection, and thank you for sticking around to spend some more time with us. So I tell you, on Thursday mornings, we do call it Free Flowing Thursdays with good reason. We really don't have any kind of guard wheels on or training wheels on. We go wherever the vibe takes us. So I've been introducing our guests now for like half an hour.
Yeah, that's true.
The first one is Assistant Superintendent of Police, Mr. I'm
Victor
about to call him Barnett.
Mr. Victor Barrett.
Victor Barrett, who is attached to CTOC. And despite the counterterrorism part of CTOC, the organized crime part is what keeps him busy. He has been at the forefront of all the large seizures.
I had interaction with CTOC, you know.
You've had interaction with CTOC?
Yeah.
The counterterrorism part or the organized crime part?
I think it more that being counterterrorism, but I was trying to understand what happened. You remember the pastor who had called out the prime minister and he was arrested? And
that was not organized crime.
No, was that counterterrorism? I was trying to figure out
why CTOC was involved.
You understand? And we have to be careful.
Oh my Lord!
We have to know how to, because there was some intervention with some other pastors in terms of, because when that began to unfold, you know, some lawyers had approached that gentleman and said, "Do you want to? Do you want to? Do you want to?" And they said, "No, it's rest." And they had said, taken some money from him and so on that he was using to build his house, and
it was returned.
It was returned. But I said, but what the man?
But in that case now, it sounds like the police were the terrorists.
You would think so.
If you're saying, you know.
Yeah. And I couldn't understand it. But anyway, some people have raised the question of how far does a government go when there are criticisms? Yeah, well, your experience has been interesting, you know. How far do you go? Because that is abuse of state power. You had your experience and you are still undergoing your experience. You want then, oh wow. Anyway.
Am I not free to speak?
Yes, yes.
Well, we need to follow up on how things are going with that piece of legislation which requires bus drivers
Yes, son. Yes, we need to follow
to
it up.
remain mum.
When you hello. When you tell him, when you tell the gentleman, the inspector, we always use these curse words.
Yeah,
And expression.
yes.
It's funny, but it's not funny.
So suppose you spell it like what Pastor did the other day. You remember when Pastor spelled something?
Yes.
I never get to tease you about it. Suppose you spell it.
I don't know. The question now is,
Can they spell it?
we take this thing. The take my things make laugh, but it's true.
I wonder. Well, we are going to find out if there are any workarounds, any loopholes in that law. Because it all depends on the literacy of both the transport authority worker and the driver. Because if you spell something that him can't pronounce, or if you spell it bad, deliberately spell it bad, say, I know what you want to tell me. You just...
I know what you want to tell me, but yeah.
Well, you're the JP who's going to try those cases.
I am.
Well, JP sitting in petty sessions court,
Because I'm
where
with so much
where bad
so-
word cases come on. Oh boy,
But under that piece of legislation, that said you could be
6
fined
months.
6 months or fined up to $500,000.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
That's not petty session.
Well, I guess the petty session limit is going to be increased because
Okay.
I do not believe there's a single parish judge who went through all that trouble to learn law to come and be inundated by bad word cursing cases.
Bad word cursing busman.
Yes, especially by a transport authority drawing a busman before the parish court to say, I told him to move over, and he spelt an unpleasant word to me.
And he threatened me.
Yes,
Because
I
that was
felt
a part of
insulted
it.
by
Yeah.
it.
Yes, that's what it is.
I don't think the parish judges are gonna take kindly to that. That is, that's one of the things that I don't believe our lawmakers take into account when they fall prey to making these nonsense laws. They have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You
have
have
to
the
go
law on the book. There's going to be one man who's gonna throw the book at you.
Right.
And that judge is going to have to hear it. So when any judge that wake up to 200 bad word cussing cases is going to quit. Anyway, I think we can stop introducing Victor now and turn our attention to our other guest. I'm really looking forward to this guest, if only to discover the origin of her name. And I hope it's a her. The name betrays no gender. The Tommy. We are going to be joined by the Tommy Sergeant Fuller. The double-barreled married name is a hint.
Yes, she's a woman.
Usually, yes, women are the ones afflicted by the double-barreled
The
names.
Tommy. Or I've met gentlemen who have had double-barred names too, but it is infrequent. Most people who have double-barred names are female.
Yes, but for example, Spanish people of Spanish ethnicity carry their mother's maiden name in the middle of their name, but it's not considered double-barreled. So if you were Spanish, what's your mother's maiden name? Smith?
Yeah.
You would be Percival Alexander Smith Palmer.
Okay. I thought it was Percival Smith Alexander Palmer. But
No, because
it's in the middle of the names.
yeah,
Still in the middle.
but your name would be Percival Alexander. That's your
Right.
name.
Right.
Then your surname would be Palmer. But your Smith would come before Palmer. So that's the
Okay.
middle. So your name is, Percival Alexander. That's your name. And then your surname given to you by your father is Palmer. And between those two. So that's what I mean by middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you understand. Yeah, it
I
doesn't
was just
become...
trying to be cute.
Okay. No, when you meet a Spanish, I want you to understand all the name. So that was interesting because the mother's genealogy and
Was important.
bloodline continued to be represented in the name. I don't know if when you say double barrel names for men, how does that come about?
Because what happened is that it seemed in the instant that I know about that they agreed that they would have both names. And so the children had a double barrel name. So
So the same Spanish thing?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes, right. They take the mother's married name, which is her her maiden name and her married name.
Right.
If you choose to go that way, so it's the same Spanish principle, you know.
True, I agree.
Recognizing and carrying forward the mother's genealogy.
I've seen an instance where it was the mother's name that carried forward, not the father's. One instance.
Wow, I'd love to understand.
I remember meeting. I said to the person, "Oh, he said, that's my mother's name, but my parents are married, but they decided that we would carry
the mother's name,
and that his name was lost in the process."
So was the name Deno or Geddes or?
I don't remember. What it was.
Because sometimes, or Rockefeller, or sometimes the mother's name carries so much weight that you don't want anyone to miss it by having to do research.
Right.
Or sometimes the father name carries so much shame
that you drop it.
Yes, like if I were a Hitler. I don't think I would be.
But how does that work in terms of law? Is there a set thing that when you get married that you need to carry the man's name, or what is in law? That's what I'm asking. Is there a lot of precedents in law that?
So it's one of those areas where law and tradition are merged, but the law gives you the ability to choose your name.
Okay.
Because remember, you can by deed poll
change your name,
become a whole different.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's no, what did we read recently? Oof. I was just, my fundamental position that everybody must know that you are born free to do anything that you choose unless there's a law against it. And there was a scripture I looked at yesterday which made me turn to Lowell and say, see, you can do anything unless there's a law against it. So you can choose to take mother name, father name, does not matter. We, because of succession planning and inheritance laws and so on, we require that certain things be evident to show that you can make a claim, a legitimate claim against property and so on and so forth. Even if the mother's name or the father's name not properly represented on your paper or something is misspelled, there are processes in law that allow you to correct it. And mostly these processes are evidence-based, meaning there must be someone to corroborate the truthfulness of what you're saying. So if your birth certificate, because remember we didn't always have birth certificates,
That somebody was.
That's a recent invention to allow. Thank you. The midwife, the nanny, all the things that the persons who can come forward or on affidavit evidence say, yes, man, a Percy Pickney, me did know the two of them, and look how he look like Percy, or whatever it is. That's so. Stamping. Right. So it's all evidence-based until you get science that sets new standards. So, a man may go about saying, that's my child. Those eyes are my eyes. And then next thing you know, there's DNA testing. And the DNA is saying 99% certainty is not yours.
That it's a skirt you got.
It is. So, and not skirt.
Yeah. Is that his gender thing?
Well, I guess because you remember the womb that does not lie, because you can never be mistaken about the mother. But the man who wears a jacket, it could be another man's garment.
Another man's jacket. So you can take it on and off.
Yeah. So they said, I guess that just makes sense to me that the uncertainty is always with regards to the man.
Okay.
Well, talk to Solomon, but you can have a lie emanating somewhere, but
that was interesting though.
So Mr. Tommy Sergeant Fuller, Operations Area Manager of the Western Zone, is coming to
Tommy Sergeant Fuller. I got mixed up because I thought she was a sergeant.
See?
Yes.
See, what's in the name indeed. She's going to be sharing some of the post-hurricane do's and don'ts and teaching us a little bit about the JPS restoration protocol. We are in the hurricane season, notwithstanding the sunshine that is emerging and the beautiful red flowers on the trees at the poinsettia.
It's coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes we mix up the trees.
That's
You can't tell. Which one? Pui?
The poetry. Remember poetry?
Yes, I remember. Yeah. I remember it from poetry. I can't recall that I actually know which tree is the poetry. But where we are now, you can see brilliant red. It's like an orange red with a glow to it, a very warm color. You gotta see it. You can see a tree in full bloom across from us. And then can you see the yellow flowers on the other tree?
Yes, I see
Right
that.
there, yes.
Yeah.
And the place is green and fertile and lush. But we are in our hurricane season. Do not be deceived.
Did
that
you experience
that continues.
Hurricane Gilbert?
No, I was in Barbados.
Oh yeah, I experienced it.
I was
Mama
away.
wasn't here and I was
Terrified.
I live in
Excited.
concrete house.
Oh, so your roof didn't get sucked off. And
You saw
yeah,
people's roof that
yeah.
as Loving Dear said, Gilbert, the roof just stick off.
Just go sailing. Yeah.
I actually saw that.
So-
and I said, "Gilbert's
So you
roof."
do understand that the uncertainties in the climate, global warming and all that, which is very real. It is not a made up thing by people who want to sell more things during hurricane season or whatever, or insurance companies who want to increase the premium. It is very real. So you understand that Gilbert type hurricanes will increase
And
because the volatility of the climatic conditions is such that you will have more extreme weather situations occurring. So the restoration protocol for JPS is something we need to understand. How to secure yourselves, how to ensure that you have the best chance of surviving with the least inconvenience and harm to life and property. So, it makes sense that we should even have a conversation with ODPEM, the Office of Disaster Preparedness. Under their particular bit of legislation, we went through the pandemic under great stress and strain. Some people are still recovering post-traumatic stress. Some of us are still in it.
It's not a joke,
So it's very necessary that we understand these things. We have to get the information early o'clock when we're not under stress, so we can, interpret, ask questions, research, and be prepared. Time for the 7:30 break, sir?
Yes.
All right, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. And thank you, as always, for responding to some of our comments online. One of our listeners, supporters, has asked to see the tree. This is the tree that is in full bloom. It's all red. There's the tree. So we're going to put the camera on it.
Sienna, but just as we continue to talk about what's going to happen for the 2022 hurricane season, they are forecasting a range of 14 to 21 named storms that are winds of 39 miles or more, of which 6 to 10 could become hurricanes, winds of 74 miles per hour or higher, including 3 to 6 major hurricanes, that is category 3, 4, or 5, which is winds with 111 miles per hour. So that's what they have projected to happen this hurricane season within the Caribbean region. And of course, you're seeing the beautiful flowers that we were describing to you in terms of in full bloom.
All right, we're panning the environment just so you can see where we are and appreciate when we say bright sunshine. This doesn't look like a day that could descend into any kind of disaster.
For the time.
That is how it look, and it will look that way right up until the rain starts to fall.
Oh, yes, it does.
Yes, that is the beauty and the mystery of the Caribbean.
You know, 1998, because 1988 when we experienced Hurricane Gilbert, we never took it serious. You were over in Barbados studying, but they were telling us that this hurricane coming, and we're saying, what are you
Coming
talking
where?
about? And we were, well, I was an adult then, and we were out in the streets, just watching and
Bright
trying
sunshine.
and thing. And then it happened. Like overnight, and we woke up in the morning, we saw the destruction.
Surprise.
Yes, saw the destruction. I remember in the night, because my mom was overseas then, and she was saying that make sure you do everything.
Prepare.
I was the only adult in the home because I had younger siblings and doing everything. And woke up, and you saw the light
It's
post,
overcast.
the trees falling because the mango trees, everything gone. You know, it was. And then, at least we had listened, and we had. My mom said, "Go and buy the extra groceries," and so we had.
So you
all
had
of that.
supplies.
Bully beef, and we call it bully beef, corned beef, bully beef. That's what we call it, bully beef.
It was made from bulls.
Yeah, Jolly Jamaican. Other people say corned beef, we call it bully beef, and a whole lot of that. And we never had any water or electricity at some point in time. Yeah.
Well, Jamaicans also have bull cows,
Yes.
so why not bully beef? It came from the bull cow.
Yeah.
You know what a bull cow is?
Yeah.
Okay.
A cow is a male.
It's a group word. Bull cow is a group word for cattle.
Oh, that's what you understood it in your context.
No, I know that is but it is group word for cattle. If you say cattle, it means both gender.
Yeah, bull and cow.
But we always like to make sure you understand
Okay.
that is a bull and a cow.
Oh, yes.
And bull cow
It's a
equals
male one.
cattle.
Yeah, yes.
Follow me. Bull cow is a group word for cattle.
Right. Yeah, now I understand.
Right.
Bull is the male and cow is the female.
Yes,
So bull
and
cow-
cattle is both.
Both of them. We
So
said
we
the
cre-
bull cows them. Jamaican word is fascinating. The language is fascinating.
And then now, what got me was, I remember it struck me quite keenly when I was in the BVI, and there was a restaurant that they call it bull whip soup, and we call it cow cod soup.
Okay, right.
Aha! Now you see it.
Bull whip soup.
Yes, I mean, at least it was accurate.
Bull whip soup.
And we were talking about cow. You have any cow cod soup? The
Cow
Jamaicans, they're
cod.
asking for cow cod soup, and they're like, cow cod? You mean the bullwhip?
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Like,
The mysteries of our language.
and like Aki is eaten in Jamaica, you go to Barbados. Spiciness, we don't Aki here. I getting used to it now.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's just because we're bold like that.
Oh, that I keep. Everybody says it can be done. Give a Jamaican. We'll find a way That's why we need to find a way.
Our producer is reminding us of the lionfish.
Sure, we found a way to eat them.
While people were cowering in terror that it's going to overwhelm their waters.
And Jamaicans
You can hardly find a lionfish now, and it was so delicious.
We found a way. We found a way. Yes, man. Only Jamaicans.
Oh boy!
that is
And the
what
Chinese, the Chinese are like that
we
too.
celebrate, yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
that's when you have a,
Chinese.
that's when you're Jamaican Chinese, you overcome.
That's why Jamaican Chinese are toughest.
Yes, man.
All right, so we're going to have our guest from JPS to walk us through very, very necessary and important information on, listen, keeping energy, having power in your house in post, pre, whatever, hurricane days, critical, especially if you have old people, young children, and any kind of sick person who needs to have certain things. It's critical. Oh, Earl Brown says in Barcelona he had bull tail, oxtail. Yeah.
It says what?
In Barcelona he had
Oxtail.
bull tail, which is
We call oxtail, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a delicacy here now.
I'm not very sure why we call it oxtail. We've never seen
The
oxen.
ox and the tail.
Yeah.
Run down the ox cut off the tail.
in Barcelona, he says after the bull run.
Yeah, they have, okay.
Yeah. All right. He's also asking one of our listeners also asking what is the difference between CTOC and MOCA? What does MOCA mean again?
Major organized
Crime agency.
yeah.
All right, but I think when
But MOCA is I think is an independent agency, while CTOC falls under
fraud, the fraud squad, the police.
yeah, right. Yeah.
But those are good and proper questions. Every time there is some kind of flare up, we create a new agency and said that will take care of that. So we now have, just like the Americans, a regular alphabet soup of agencies. You can't figure out who
What
does
they
what,
do.
but at the end of the day, they're all policemen trying to do their jobs, but with different levels of training and expertise.
It's a major
CTOC.
organized crime and anti-corruption agency.
Oh, the A's. So where's the anti-corruption in the MOCA? Major organized crime. The A is for anti-corruption. So where's agency? AA. It's MOCA with an A. Yeah. But it is necessary as we traverse the fields of administration of justice, fight against corruption, all those things that are top of the mind for Jamaicans. It's important that we have an understanding of how they work, the mandate. Many times it is because we don't understand what the objectives are, how they are seeking to protect us, why we fight against it. We don't give them support, and they end up not being able to accomplish anything worthwhile for us, and it costs a lot of money to keep creating these agencies, funding them, and when they prove ineffective, it is a loss all around. Wouldn't you say, sir?
Right. So somebody
We're still trying to figure out MOCA.
it says is an elite agency which focuses on corruption. Yeah. Focusing on corruption. The goals are to tackle serious organized crime and to stamp out corruption in Jamaica, to focus on bringing high-value criminal targets to justice, to improve governance and security in Jamaica through tackling serious transnational organized crime in all its forms, and to provide deterrence. And interestingly, it's a former army man who heads it up. Major Colonel Desmond Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is it different is the
CTOC,
question from CTOC.
That we need to find out. I guess when the assistant commissioner comes, he will tell us what it is.
Right. So early in the conversation, we need to just look at how it differs.
Yeah, because it's so important. Because I think that CTOC is still under police, under the police high command, whereas MOCA is an independent agency. which brings together army and those things together.
Okay. So CTAC is one of the join up agencies. Well, I do know that they work with a lot of overseas.
Right.
Yeah, they're always being accompanied by the DEA,
And you mean MOCA or CETA?
CTAC.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, you know, you see how they focus on the counterfeit goods and so on. And it's a lot of international brands and companies that
That work with them. Yeah.
that they work with. All right. Let's look at the newspaper for a little bit
Went back to
before.
KJ.
The Caper.
The caper with KJ.
Camina's Caper. That's the name of the movie.
Okay.
Camina's Caper. One headline says, more scrutiny on Camina's role in the $15 million Fin deal. Now, I don't know. I'm just looking at it. I don't know what it says, but I know what the right position ought to be. So I'm going to see if anyone is looking at it through the right lens.
Okay.
You know, we are in agreement, you and I, because we've spoken about this before, that it is only when people of righteous behavior and understanding take the right position on certain issues that you're going to see a break. You're going to see a change, a breakthrough. Case in point, when the church took the right position against slavery,
It shifted.
it shifted. When they take the right position against the oppression or marginalization of women,
Shifted.
it shifts. You are going to find that with every issue that we come upon in public life, whether it is governance, corruption, accountability, any of those issues, when you come to that place where you really want to see a change, people with the right heart, attitude, integrity, righteous people, including the church, usually led by the church, when they take the right position on these things, you see it shift.
Which is why I keep hearing it echoed in Ras Kremlin. He says, Pastor, really, the church really need to stand up and
Yes.
begin to speak, and that
Yeah.
has been his position, you know.
Yeah, don't try to be politically correct. Don't try to hedge your bets. Speak in a clear, uncompromising tone based on the principle of truth, principle of justice, honor, respect, covenant. Whenever you align yourselves uncompromisingly with these principles, you see things change. It will change in your personal life. It will change in your family. It will change in the nation. That is when we talk about binding the strong man, breaking the yoke. There are some like religious phrases that I want persons to decode,
Understand what it really means.
get into what it really means, and put it aside, because when you start to talk like that, people look at you like you're a nut job. So you need to translate those principles into fighting language, into the kind of language that points you to action. So we know that if you're gonna bind the strong man, it means you gotta know the source of strength or authority that is fueling certain behaviors in your country, in your life, and you need to neutralize that. If it is fueled by money, by pride, by the abuse of relationship, by fear, whatever it is, confront it and take it out of operation.
And when you do that, you really have cut down the tree at its very root.
At its root. Good.
At its root.
So now, let's look at Camina's Caper. What is the truth of it? The truth of it is a personal career move was financed by taxpayers' money without taxpayers' foreknowledge or consent. That's the truth of it. The other awful truth is that when found out, those who set that in motion lied, tried to tell us that it was for our benefit, and look what beautiful jewels we got out of the caper. That's a lie. if we want to talk about accountability,
Mash down those lies.
we have to mash them down. You can forgive it, you know.
But it is a lie.
You can say, listen, you did wrong, but it was well intentioned, and you've owned up to it. You have apologized. You have repented of your ways. Carry on and do the good work of which you are capable
Of doing.
Yeah, that can be the result. But please, let's get to that result by an honest path.
You shall know the truth.
And the truth.
And the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Because when you shine the light, which is truth, it dispels the darkness. But what was the word them use? Obfuscating?
Obfuscation.
Obfuscation.
That word obfuscate you.
Yes, it did. And I'm saying to myself, come on. And that is why I'm calling out, Morgan, stop it. What you're doing, stop it. Stop it. Don't try to pull what we call red herrings across the trail. Just get wrong. And it goes back to what I keep saying on this program, and I'll not move from that position. Your motivation and your heart condition is the most important thing that we see being showcased in front of the world, and more in greater detail, in greater focus to the Jamaican people. And the Jamaican people are seeing people's hearts, people's motivations for doing stuff in this country. And it's not about the Jamaican people. It has not been about the Jamaican people. It's about me, myself, and I. We need to stop it.
So let me share with you now what is the bone of contention. And I'm going to give context because I raised it before and I want persons to see the progression of the argument. So the moment I learned that Fin Partners out of the USA, who had previously provided services to the Ministry of Tourism in Jamaica, that firm had been engaged to provide some services to Miss Kamina Johnson-Smith in her bid for this job.
Public relations.
I recognized that the Traffic Bureau, all the elements of Traffic Bureau were present.
Here we go again.
Company that provides services to government entity, funding something for a government minister. In the Traffic Bureau case, it was actually a little better. They were providing campaign funding or donation, whatever they wanted to call it, to a political party associated with the government. In this case to me is worse. You have a sitting minister of government entering into a contractual relationship with a company that had previously provided services to the Ministry of Tourism, and not like previously 20 years ago, recent memory. Okay. And I said that has to be investigated because I know that even under US law that you have to proceed very carefully if you're doing something like that, because it can easily be translated into bribe. No matter what price you put the service at, it is going to look as if either you are courting something else or you dummied up the price or whatever it is. It's going to look like a benefit. All right. So here we are now. United States-based Stephen Drummond, as an attorney at law, believes that Fin Partners' listing of Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith as principal on a controversial filing under the Foreign Agents Registration Act holds no legal ramifications for the lawmaker. I hate when people blow smoke. What they're saying is that Fin Partners was under an obligation when they represent a foreign political entity, individual or government, they must file in the US a record of their representation. And this representation, as they filed it, stated that Kamina Johnson-Smith was the principal for whom they were acting. That's neither here nor there. All it means now is that there is a record of her being the person, not her husband, not her not-for-profit organization that is endorsing whatever it is she's doing. She as minister was named as the person whom they were representing.
Okay. Why?
When they say it holds no legal implications, no legal
Well, fine.
ramifications, it doesn't matter. Nobody's looking for ramifications.
Smoke and mirrors.
As if to say, oh, that would be like saying Minette has a birth certificate, so she's fine. She exists. I exist without the birth certificate.
Go ahead.
It really does not matter. Adds nothing to it. Drummond further said that Finn Partners' reference of the Foreign Ministry's Port Royal Street, Kingston address is standard reporting procedure. So this is, you know what? I'm not even going to read that. It makes no sense. It is a confirmed fact. All of that registration information confirms the fact that the entity was representing Kamina Johnson Smith, and they filed it with the U.S. government. So there's a record of it, and we already knew that.
That's not something new.
Yeah. Now comes the part that would be of interest. The opposition People's National Party has called for full disclosure of the Finn Partners Pact with the spokesperson on Justice and Information, Senator Donna Scott Motley, rejecting assertions that the foreign minister was in the clear. Scott Motley said Wednesday that the document clearly stated that the Finn Partners contract was with Johnson Smith. The U.S. Department of Justice defines foreign principal as a foreign government, a foreign political party, or any person outside the United States and any entity organized under the laws of a foreign country. It may also include a foreign faction or body of insurgents whose legitimacy the United States government has not yet recognized. June 6 filing by Finn Partners showed that the firm was paid $99,000 US by unnamed private funders described by the Holness administration as corporate Jamaica backers for the provision of services geared towards her eventual
You're buying. It's
Thank you, Pastor.
You're buying.
You're buying votes.
Yeah. You're buying something.
Finn was retained to provide media relations, strategic counsel, media monitoring, thought leadership, and content strategy and development. The document was signed by Martin Ettelmeyer on behalf of Finn Partners. Scott Motley charged that de facto information minister Robert Morgan's public statement that the $15 million contract was a private transaction between Jamaican companies and a U.S. company exposed Jamaica to direct conflict with the U.S. FARA system because it referenced Johnson Smith as the contract party.
So
The filing also states
it's not the government of Jamaica.
it's not private. So the immediate conflict on which the PNP is focusing is that Robert Morgan reported it to Jamaica as an arrangement between private Jamaican companies and Finn Partners, whereas the Finn Partners filed it in the U.S. as between themselves and Johnson Smith. But Morgan has said that Johnson Smith's denotation on the FARA filing as principal was merely tantamount to framing her role as a beneficiary. It's gone back to like the man at Phelps thing, you know, where Dudus was the beneficiary, but it was the government that hired the lawyer. He characterized the calls for frank disclosure as contrived attacks on Johnson Smith. In a statement issued late Sunday, the Office of the Prime Minister divulged that Johnson Smith's failed campaign cost taxpayers $18.2 million.
So when them file
That put her overall campaign toll at $33 million. The $18.2 million covered air and ground transportation, but you know that caller was right yesterday that $18.2 million can't take you to, what was it, 7 African countries, unless you were traveling by donkey. COVID-19, it covered ground transportation, COVID-19 tests, meals and accommodation, public relations, and communication support for event staging, as well as IT support, printing, and photography. The photography alone, 16 years ago, the cost of the photography at my wedding would probably be equal to $18.2 million today.
Stop.
The lies you're saying? It's upsetting you?
Yeah, stop the lie there. You see, underscores just a simple position.
And then the Prime Minister, the OPM statement said that the government of Jamaica was not a party to this arrangement, which was secured by corporate Jamaica.
But the
However,
country-
the filing listed no other name but Johnson Smith's. Well, we're not sure who's going to resign, but one of them should. Now it looked like Morgan, Kamina, and the Prime Minister himself just lying to us.
Yeah, because when you look at it, you see, you are trained in law and you're trained to carry moods and to work the arguments, but there's what I call a common sense approach, a common intelligence that Jamaicans can look through all of that and say, that's complete, top 10 lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you come up to the break, my grandmother used to say to me, speak the truth at all times, because when you speak the truth, you don't have to remember what you said previously.
Yeah.
And this is what is happening to them now. They never spoke the truth at the beginning, and now they're covering up everything. Let me say again, and now because it is out there in the public domain in terms of what has been said, the story has come to bump, and
yeah.
it's going to bump somebody off at the national stage.
Let's see who takes the tumble.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
STEM Uprising invites you to support their 5th annual blood drive and back to school treat at the Lionel Town Hospital on Friday, August 19th. The blood drive starts at 9 a.m. and you can join us at midday for the back to school treat. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, invite as many donors as you can, and you will be eligible to earn cash prizes starting at $10,000 for third place, $20,000 for second place, and first place prize of $50,000. And there's more! Free medicals for all students returning to school this September. Don't miss this opportunity to give blood and save lives.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome back to the Morning Connection. We are now in the 8 o'clock hour. We're looking for our first guest. I have been calling and just trying to see where he is. He's not here yet, but I see something that is very much in keeping with what we've been discussing. The Prime Minister has called for a stronger push to monetize culture. I did not know that culture is called the orange economy. So now, given the colors that we are using for the political parties, culture is the orange economy.
Funny.
The cannabis is the green economy.
Which one will be?
Which one will prevail? Where would you put your money?
Orange and green give you what color? Purple. Purple
You
economy.
put your money on the purple economy.
Couldn't resist that.
Royalty.
Yes.
Royalty.
King and queen. Interesting, but the truth is the green economy is.
My money is on the orange economy. Let me talk quick before you
No,
before you choose it.
No, but
I'm gonna explain why though.
I think the orange economy continues. It's a never-ending stream because it comes out of who we are, out of our consciousness.
It's all inclusive.
Yeah, the green economy now, you have to plant it and watch it, but the orange economy comes spontaneous in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I'm in the
that's
purple.
why
So orange and green give me purple,
Right.
so I get the royal.
Well, I love the fact that you want to keep the cannabis in play. So you merge it with the orange and you go with the purple. The green economy whether you look at it as cannabis or you look at it as the eco,
Ecological.
which takes into account renewable energies and so on and so forth. That particular economy depends too much on what persons of conflicting positions do. If you're going to talk about cannabis, you have to look at the state of the regulations in the world stage and how, in particular, banking is treated. Even while Jamaica has put legislation and a regulator in place, and the regulator is collecting license application fees from people, the banks are not permitting those licensed entities to operate bank accounts.
We need to
Did you know that?
We need to move to Oregon.
So, I want what I just said to sink in, and I want you to understand what it means. It means that a government agency is accepting cash in respect of license applications
They can't open
from
bank
an
accounts.
entity that cannot open a bank account.
Tell them to get the money from.
And how are they supposed to utilize the license? Because the license is to give you an opportunity to make money. So why would a government agency be collecting license fees in cash? And you want to know how the license fee is priced? In US dollars. In US dollars.
So, but that don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that. So, government
there's-
charge you for pay for doing something.
Yes.
But if you were to start a business, you can't legally open a bank account. That's what they're saying.
The banks is left hand and right hand and play them own game. The banking system operates under a scheme of regulation that has not permitted them, let me use a very neutral word, to allow cannabis entities to open and operate bank accounts.
Wow.
And if you do get an account open because you haven't started trading yet, and you begin to trade, and you have to disclose that your monies come out of a cannabis related enterprise, the account going to get shut down. Because our commercial banks that are affiliated with federal are connected to overseas banks
yeah.
under federal regulation cannot allow any commingling of cannabis money with other money.
So the question is, how do the businesses that in the States survive, like in Colorado, those places? How them?
That's the beauty of the republic, because each state has its domestic regulatory framework, and you can stockpile the money up to the ceiling in your state and spend it in your state all you want, and local banks in the state that are not part of a federal structure can help you with your money, but you can't cross the state line until it is
Okay.
approved across all of the US. So maybe, and I don't know how they do their thing, but I would at least encourage a state next to me to pass the same legislation so we could have a rousing trade between us, buy real estate, invest in businesses, and then just let it keep growing. 2 states, 3 states, 4 states, 5 states, until you have a segment within the republic that can trade amongst themselves and cross their pass the money over state line, because it is the same, but it just never can move in a federal bank until the law permits it, and we get caught up in it.
Yeah,
And I just, the thing that mystifies me is why I'm seeing license fees being quoted in US dollars for a business that
Jamaica.
is not approved. Forget that it's a Jamaican business, but it's not a business that is approved federally for you to pass money in that way.
But all of these places have opened up. I drive through them. You have them in Manor Park, and them tell you the different hybrids and which. So them operate business then.
Well, ganja business and Jamaica are twins.
Yeah.
So you always have a certain amount of ganja business going on the street, and it was never a part of the formal economy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
So you can use cash, you can trade, do your little bit of trade, but you'll never make the mega billion bucks
That you can
that
do me.
the world has estimated resides in the green economy. So that part of the green economy, you can't predict a robust outcome at a national level until some of those issues which are not governed by local considerations are resolved.
Okay.
So that part of the green economy. But I think if we are careful in how we do it, we can have some good domestic activity and bring about a redistribution of wealth within our shores.
Okay. That yeah.
Yeah, we could do that if we're just the way it has always been. The hardwares, food vendors, farmers, can get a certain amount of wealth out of it if we do our business right. I pray that somebody is pushing it so that we can do the best that we can locally until it opens up on the global scale. We are
You see it
open.
opening it up anyway in the near
Yeah, man.
future.
Yeah.
In terms of what's happening.
You said near
banking.
future.
Banking, yeah.
The area that is likely to blossom if people can invest properly in it is the extraction. You can extract the oil because the oil and the cannabinoids are where the value is. It's not the smoking and the recreational use of it.
Pharmaceutical.
Yes, and I think properly done, we can have a nice industry operating in like a free trade zone environment or a what we call it now, special economic zone environment,
Right.
where the research and the extraction is done, and your market comes to meet you at that point,
And you send it all
and
over the
they
world.
come with their own authorization from their country, pick up what they need in Jamaica, leave with it, and they can pay you in
Whatever
currency, yes.
international currency.
Or they can bring diamonds and jewels,
Gold. I was just about to
and
say
gold
that.
coins from Zimbabwe.
Bring that to come. But
And bring that. So you don't actually have to use a currency that you don't have to use US dollars that go and get you into contortions.
But you know, as you
But you
speak
can-
about that,
yeah.
it is thriving in Israel in terms of what they're
Of
doing
course.
with the
But in America
cannabis.
too.
Yeah, but
They're
in terms of the
researching and doing every kind of thing they want to
medicinal
do while putting the arm lock on other economies that you see. Jamaica and any country that has good sun all year round, the plant loves. Well, the plant was in the Garden of Eden. Well, everything was there.
Yes.
But the plant loves this kind of weather, so it will do well here. So any of the countries that have this kind of weather and are small economies and could transform their people's life out of the plant, you're gonna find a great deal of resistance to opening it up before other larger nations have mastered whatever craft they're seeking to.
Is that a
I'm not
form
sure
of
what they're-
colonialism.
It is
Again.
a form of colonial, imperialist oppression.
Wow.
That's my view. That is my view. Whenever you have something that is of great value, but others don't quite understand yet how they can own it. And
Yeah,
this
as
one,
master, yeah.
yeah, this one defies the common strategies for ownership. I love it because it is God who makes it grow. And he chooses where he wants to bless it. And a lot of the very special things about it, you can't synthesize.
True that. That's so true. And even as they develop different varieties all over the world, the best one they say still is here.
Jamaica is still uniquely blessed. So
terms
I
of-
have some expectations of it. But when you put it up against culture,
Culture win all the time.
listen, man, 'cause culture don't sleep. There's always a Jamaican up producing something every hour of the day.
Like my wagga wagga.
Like your your invented word,
Wagga wagga.
which is so.
Wanga wanga.
So there's a it is onomatopoeic. Do you know that word?
Yeah, word sound like.
This right, the sound of the word is mimics the sound that it makes in actuality. So wagga wagga sound like wagga wagga.
As,
It
as,
is
as you talk
onomatopoeic.
about
Big and unpleasant.
that, it's big and unpleasant.
Yes. As you hear it, you know what it is. You don't have to have ever seen it in life. Yeah. And that's the kind of money that Pastor says we're going to make. Wagga wagga money, big and unpleasant.
Big money, overwhelm us.
All right. So listen, let me see what time it is. We're getting close to when our JPS guest is to arrive. I am officially calling it on
Sita,
CTalk. We're gonna have to reschedule, and we've been trying. We booked Mr. Barrett for quite some time, and he was traveling. Recently returned. I've not heard from him, but I figure we can reschedule.
so you were gonna look at the thing of culture,
Yes, I'm looking at what the PM said.
but knowing from where we were exploring it with the gentleman from CTalk in
Yes.
terms of he's enforcing other people cultural burn,
Yes.
and we want to find out this with the same vim, vigor, and energy that they do it here in Jamaica. They're doing
Are
our
they
thing
doing
in
it?
overseas in
Yeah.
other countries that have stolen our marks, and to understand
Yeah.
why are they doing it? Is it under the dictates of the multinationals, under the governments who are protecting their treasure? And are we in the same way asking the other people, the other countries to do it with the Jamaican trademark? Let us not fool ourselves, Jamaica big.
Wagga wagga.
Jamaica is huge, humongous. Anywhere you go in the world and you speak about being Jamaican, you're an instant celebrity. And in terms of what flows from that, you can monetize it and make it be a big thing for you in terms of money in your pocket. So I'd love to know what are the
What is happening out
mechanisms in
there?
place for enforcement of the other side. They do it here.
Is somebody doing it for us on the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah. It's much the same way one of our callers asked whether Jamaica ever asked the US to send anybody back to extradite. Are we always on the receiving end of extradition requests? Do we actually ask for any American to come here? You know, for example, there was a complaint about an American tourist molesting a child here in a, I think it is either in a swimming pool setting or whatever. Would we have requested the extradition of that tourist so he
to
could
come back to
so he
face
could come back,
charges here.
face charges here, be tried, and yeah. You know what? I'm gonna look
Explore.
at I'm gonna look at how the law frames it, because technically we can, but you might find there are some bases on which you can resist extradition. One of them is if you can show that the way you would be treated by the judicial system in the country that is requesting your extradition, if you can show that your rights would be abused.
Oh?
Yeah, so for example, if Jamaica did not have a presumption of innocence, for example, and America does, and Jamaican system was to require you to prove your innocence.
Which is
But
what
in
happened.
America, they put the prosecution on the block to prove your guilt. And Jamaica requested an American citizen to be extradited here on a charge. Then the citizen would say, no, don't send me to Jamaica, because their legal system places me at a greater jeopardy than I would face were I to be tried in my home country. So let them come and try me here.
Okay.
Yeah, that is one of the bases on which you could. Or suppose you are asking for someone to be extradited in respect of a matter which is not an offense in that country.
Then they would
Right. Suppose we create an offense because we're being very careful about take this one. We're very careful about men soliciting sex from male prostitutes, for example. But in America, that would not be an offense. Maybe we say here it's punishable by death. But in America, it's not an offense and it's not punishable by such an extreme penalty. And we request someone to be extradited to face a charge of that nature in Jamaica. Then they would say in America, they would
Sorry,
oppose
boss.
it and
Sorry,
say
boss.
no, because they're carrying me down to Jamaica
And they
to
will
try
kill
me
me.
on a trumped up offense.
And they will shot
And they're
me.
going to kill me.
You hungry?
Right. So those are legitimate bases on which you can resist extradition. So you may find that if we were to ask for a U.S. citizen to be extradited, they could legitimately claim that they would be subject to abusive and unfair, treatment
Treatment and-
under our law. For example, I mean, that Jamaican police officer who they tried and they've already tried, convicted and sentenced her.
3 years.
We have people who in jail 12 years going and can't get tried. So, and then now, can you imagine if we requested and got a U.S. citizen to come here and we try them and deal with them in 3 weeks?
They're uproaring the whole system.
So you see,
It's dependent
The world
on your
on level.
priorities. Dependent on your priorities, what you think. And for some of them, it is for even the fact that that young lady, the officer, constable was trying,
yeah.
a political statement to say they're trying to break the back of the scamming thing and the drugs, and they say, okay, push it through.
And it's very much like what Russia has done with the American basketball Griner,
Griner.
with the basketball player.
It's Griner.
Griner, yeah.
Pam Gray's the other one who was the bad one in the movies. You remember that?
Oh,
You know watch your movies, Mr. Thing? With Pam Gray, who was the hot shot.
Greer.
Yeah, Pam Grier.
I'm wondering. Yeah,
Grier.
yeah, Grier.
Yeah,
Yeah, but if you look at what Russia did, that is another political statement.
yeah.
They took a woman of great height and fame. The girl is 6'9".
Yeah. She's tall.
She's tall. Yeah, she's 6 feet
She
9
was an
inches
ex-marine
tall.
or ex-something like that. She was
I don't know. I know she's a basketball. She's a basketball player. They took her, tried her, convicted and sentenced her to 9 years for an offense which it is reported would have only got a 15-day sentence if a Russian had been tried for it, and
two
something
different law.
which wouldn't even be an offense in the U.S.
I'm saying a strong statement.
All right, we're going to take our break and come back with our JPS guest, who is not going to be in-house with us, but is going to be online, which is quite fine. All right, Datomi, just hold on 1 second. We're about to go on now.
Okay.
All right, good morning, Mr. Tommy. You have to pronounce your name for me. I always like to pronounce the names properly.
Well, you were correct on the first one, which most persons don't usually get that one. So yes, it's Bitomi. Sergeant Fuller is what you have. Although most days I don't use the sergeant.
Oh, all right. Well,
Word.
I want to welcome you to the Morning Connection. We're very pleased by the partnership with your company, and we're especially pleased to have a new voice sharing the airwaves with us this morning. Our listeners, of course, most of them, all of them, I suspect, are your customers, and we're always interested in learning how best to manage that relationship so both sides come out winners.
Yes.
So, Miss,
Sounds like we're in alignment.
we are in alignment.
Stars are in alignment.
Yeah.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Well, thank you.
So Pastor Percival and I are the hosts of the morning show. This show goes, I'm sure you got a little brief on it, but we are on air from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we've been talking about sharing time with you and what it is that you're going to be teaching us this morning. Could you explain for me your area of work with the Jamaica Public Service Company?
Okay, well, currently I am the distribution operations manager responsible for Area West, which comprises the parishes Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth.
Okay.
I have been with JPS for just about 17 years. So,
It's a long
I
time.
did start out in corporate communications. So,
Well, you know, JPS continues to impress us with the
Power of the woman.
and just the loyalty of their staff and the fact that most of the persons who have come to us are of your kind of vintage, which tells us something very positive about the company. And you know, it's always good to know that persons are so well taken care of that they stay and stay and stay. So share with us now what has kept you. Yes, what has kept you functioning in that environment for such a long time?
a big part of it is what we do at JPS, and it is for persons who want to serve our country. It is one of the best ways in which you can do that. We're not often seen as the essential service like the police and firemen, but that is actually what we are. And when you get to understand the impact of what we do on the lives of people, if you have a heart and an intention to serve, it is one of the best places to do it. Get there, the benefits that come with it.
Yeah.
But usually to stay that long, you need something deeper.
Ah, right. That is
Wow.
what.
And I believe that's what it offers. It's an opportunity to really serve our country in a very significant way. We understand our role in powering Jamaica, powering industry, saving lives. I often teach children when I go on outreach that a lot of the times when, for example, an accident happens, everybody thinks of calling the ambulance, the fire department, etc. A lot of times those people have to call us before they can actually do what they have to do.
Okay.
Oh, that is an interesting fact.
Yeah, because
Well,
if you have an accident, you
oh, in the
a pole or
if you-
something
right,
like that. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. But now, with the hurricane season well underway, there are always some special challenges that keep you busy.
Yes.
So we want to learn a little bit more about that this morning.
Yes.
The do's and don'ts.
This is when I pray most.
Oh,
I pray a lot, but it's when I pray most. Because, once the hurricane hits, it's when life is really exciting and challenging for us. Because, everybody wants their power back as quickly as possible, and understandably so. And I should mention, at JPS, we do have a record for being the company that usually does the fastest restoration.
Oh yes, that's true. I remember Gilbert.
Persons may feel when they're
when
in the dark,
they are right.
but compared to other companies, we've actually received international awards for that.
Oh wow.
But it's, when the hurricane is coming, it's all about safety. We want persons to immediately start thinking safety. We hear it as And, we have a lot of companies that can remind persons to stock up on your food items, etc. And that is important in your preparation. But then the storm comes. And yes, we also encourage persons at DPS, we encourage persons to have backup power supplies, your flashlight, your lamps, if that's what you have, extra batteries, etc. And persons may ask, but the power comes, you should keep the lights on. That is not always possible. And I know some of the misconceptions out there that persons don't have is that as soon as the storm is coming, we turn off the power. No, that is not actually true. We constantly watch the storm, we gauge the system, and if we are able to keep the system up for the storm, we do. If we're not able to, then and we realize that to prevent any damage, any major damage to the system, we need to turn the power off, then we will. So it's not given that once there's a storm, we're going to turn the power off. It is a decision that is taken based on each storm and what is happening out there on the system. So during the storm, of course, we expect that people will stay indoors.
Yes.
As you guys, stay away from glass doors, etc. We ask that persons minimize going into your freezer. Because should the power go, and not necessarily us taking it out, but say something, a pole or a tree falls in your area and takes out your power.
Yes.
You are not certain when you're going to get back power. You want to minimize opening your freezer so that your food stays cool and doesn't go bad.
Mm-hmm.
Want it to last as long as possible. So I recommend keeping the freezer closed, not going into it if you don't have to. Disconnect your electrical supplies, your
appliances,
etc. Because you want to also protect them so that should anything happen, should there be a surge, etc., you don't want to have your equipment damaged after the storm having to worry about that. So we recommend that you disconnect them. Now, some persons may have to leave their home during the storm. We recommend when you get back home, be very, very careful. Look out for broken wires. Look out for downed poles and power lines. And if you can avoid walking through water that you can't see the bottom of, please do. Because there may be broken wires in the water, and water and electricity, how that gets.
Yeah, so that's that's in the environment in your community now, on this in your neighborhood.
Yes, and even in your own yard, because what is critical is even whether you stay home or if you leave after the storm, to do a proper inspection of your surroundings to see what you're dealing with. A lot of persons after the storm, they run out, the storm is over, storm is over.
Yes.
The first thing we recommend you do is to do a proper safety check of your premises before you move out. Don't allow the children outside until you are sure that it is all safe. There are no broken power lines down out there, and all of that, anything that could cause them harm. And if you're venturing outside of your home, even more important. Now, some persons will see a down power line, think it's because it's down and it's broken. Think there any power in it,
that is not live.
Know. So because they don't have power at home, they may think, there's no power in it. Do not approach broken power lines. Please stay away from them. Report it to us, but do not touch it. Do not go near it. Please don't allow children to go near it. Because you do not know. You may think that there's no electricity in it, but there actually is.
So let me
away from
broken. Let me ask a question here, because I've often been curious as to the capabilities of the company during this technological age to remotely decommission or turn off the power at various locations once you are told that there's an issue there. What are the capabilities of the company to respond in that way? Because you may have blocked roads and you can't get to areas physically.
So we do have that capability, but something to bear in mind, especially in a storm situation. A lot of persons may use their generators. And unfortunately, and this is also a risk for JPS workers, not everybody does it correctly. And so
Okay.
that can have the generators feeding power back into the line.
Oh.
Oh,
So that
yes.
is always a risk, even for our workers. So our workers have to take some very careful steps when they are approaching also, just to ensure that they are working, they are safe also. So it is always with broken power lines, it is just always best to stay away from them and allow our JPS personnel to deal with them, because you just never know.
Okay.
Right. That is a life-saving tip if ever I
Yeah.
heard one.
So it's a life-saving matter we're talking about. And, after a storm, when you're dealing with everything else, that is not something you want to be dealing with, the death of a loved one. And
Yes.
they just want to hear about,
And
happening out there.
especially if you have children in the
Yeah.
environment, we have to make sure that that information is shared and it is well understood and everybody can be careful. So that's during the storm, or are we at the after the storm as yet?
So during and after, because persons will come out during the storm.
Yes, yes.
During and after.
Or the immediate aftermath of the storm.
Yes, immediate aftermath of the storm. The storm just passed, everybody feel we're good now. Run out, sometimes in some communities they celebrate.
Oh, yes.
But we have to be careful when we go out there, because accidents can happen if we're not careful. And so one of the things, as I said, inspect your surroundings, inspect the area where you see JPS equipment, on the ground especially. Avoid it, stay away from it, call us and report it, but please do not touch it. Do not go near to it.
Okay.
That is what we ask, and especially the children, guide them away from it. Now, at home, once the storm is over, persons start expecting, especially some persons will go out and look at their lines, and they see their lines are up and everything, and they think, okay, so JB just needs to turn back on the light.
I think you have to go back to and check.
There's also a process on
Okay.
our side, a restoration process on our side that we have to follow, a protocol that we have to follow to ensure safety, both of our workers and of the public, and of the grid and the electrical system. We have to be very careful so that we don't cause any great damage that could take longer, cause it to take longer for us to restore service.
So what can we expect in terms of
Enough
time frame?
Time frame. I was just about to
So
ask.
after a storm, I'll give you a quick overview of what happens on our side.
Yes.
The first thing, we have to wait for there are persons who are assigned to work with the Office of Disaster and Emergency Management to go out, do a preliminary inspection to see how bad the damage seems. It's usually an aerial inspection that they do. They fly over.
Yes.
And once they give us the go-ahead, or what we call a non-clear, then our teams start to go out to do a preliminary check of the individual line section, let's call them, to see what exists out there, the extent of the damage.
And
Once
that's typically done within the first 48 hours? Or
Yes.
okay.
And it's just a preliminary check, as I said. And so they will go typically as far as they can. So sometimes they may come up on a roadblock that they can't.
Right.
So then they have to turn back. Once they have done that and they bring back in that report, we start our analysis, planning, and evaluation.
And I'm going to assume now that it is being done simultaneously, region by region. So, okay. So the
And-
teams are really all island. It's not like I'm in St. Anne waiting on the team to work its way down to me from Kingston.
Exactly, that is so. And it's one of the reasons why we move a little faster than some of our some other countries.
Some other, right, and some of the
And
other
jurisdictions,
services.
After that, we start a more detailed look at what's happening out there and in terms of planning our work. Now, in terms of restoring power, this is where most persons, get a little confused and start wondering what we're doing.
And anxious.
There are some protocols we have to follow. There are what we call priority lines that we must work on first and try to get up. These are lines that feed our hospitals.
Yes.
You can understand why. That feed our water system.
Mm-hmm.
And you can understand why. You may be out of line, but if you don't have water, that even further complicates the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
So we try to get the water pumps up. We try to get the hospitals up. We try to get the communication systems up. And we try to get the airports up. These are all critical points, what we call priority customers that we must try to get back online as quickly as possible. I mean, you say, okay, the airport, why? Should there be a situation where we need to fly somebody out for
Yes.
medical?
The truth is, those are self-explanatory. Do you include police stations?
To some extent, yes. But hospital is number one.
Yes. Yes.
Just, yeah, in terms of government facilities, the hospitals are number one at all times because of the implications there. So we start with those, the lines that feed those facilities to ensure right across the island, as quickly as possible, we can get those up. Now, so if you happen to live near to one of those, you may get back your supply very early.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
If you
once.
happen to live close to one of those, there's a chance you might. It's not guaranteed.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yes.
there's a high possibility that you may get back your supply early if you're on the line section. Now, I want to use an example of something that persons often, wonder about. So let's say the line runs from somewhere that most people probably know, from 3 miles to halfway tree. Straight
Yes.
to Harris Park Road.
Yes.
So the power is coming from 3 miles. That's where your source is. And it goes all the way up to halfway tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a broken point in halfway tree, and there's a tree on the line down by Waltham Park Road intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And so we start to energize the line coming up from 3 miles. The persons along the road are getting power.
Mm-hmm.
And the persons on halfway tree are saying, what about me? Why don't you come to fix my poles? And we're down by Waltham Park, cutting that tree off the line. They're like, why are you giving them preferential treatment over us? If you repair the pole at halfway tree, but don't deal with the tree at Waltham Park, you still won't get power because the tree at Waltham Park is interrupting the traveling of the supply.
Ah.
Because the source is at 3
Yes,
miles and
yes.
it's traveling up. So there's an interruption in the middle.
Right. Right.
So we have to clear that interruption for
Yes.
the power to continue traveling up. So it doesn't make sense to go to halfway tree first. Because even if you clear halfway tree,
It's still gonna be interrupted. Yes.
So it's something. So there is a strategy and
A logical flow.
way to how we do
Mhm.
what we do. Another thing that might happen is person say, but my neighbor has power and I don't.
I'm from 2 different sources.
Why is that? You may be on 2 different circuits.
That's correct, yeah.
So the source that your neighbor gets power from is different from yours. And there may be damage on your circuit, but none on your neighbor's circuit.
Let me ask. It's more like a question of curiosity. It has no real. It's not coming from any serious place. Do you have on your list of priorities institutions like, the banks, financial institutions, the transport centers, the Prime Minister's residence, the Governor General's residence, the Houses of Parliament? Are there institutions that get special attention during a time of emergency?
I've just done the official list of prioritized loads, as we call them, are what I described to you earlier. Hospitals,
Okay.
communication, water, airports, those are what we consider to be priority loads.
And then
So-
everything
Those are what
else
we
falls in
consider
place.
priority loads.
So that priority is determined internally by JPS, or the Office of Disaster Preparedness has a handle in saying this is what is in the best interest of the public, or, government. Or...
Yes, so we work closely with the Office of Disaster Preparedness, but it's also, a lot of what we do is also based on international standards. what is
Okay.
considered essential. But yes, certainly we work very closely. So usually after a storm, we do have personnel from JPS who are positioned at the Office of Disaster and Preparedness and Emergency Management, who are also,
A part of the
I want to say maybe observing how we are progressing.
Okay. So there.
Yes, they are heavily involved in our processes.
One quick question. So what you're saying is that the JPSCO is a part of the national team that deals with restoration of services.
Yes.
You are there in the OPM in terms of the Master Command Center, they call it.
Yes, we are a part of the disaster response team.
Okay. All
That is
right.
stationed at the so, so even when we are having so in preparation for the hurricane season, one of the things we do in JPS is we have simulation exercises.
Okay.
And so OTEM also often observes those exercises while we're doing our simulation exercises in preparation for the season.
So now I have kind of a final question, really. I would like you to share with us what we can expect to see in our neighborhoods as JPS is preparing the island or its network for the hurricane season. The reason I'm asking is because those citizens who are keeping a careful watch, if they don't see certain activities, I imagine they would want to call you to say,
Yes.
so and so.
Come
What
in
can
and
we,
cut it on that
yes,
bridge and
what
those
can we expect to see, and how can we assist the process by, giving you the necessary information?
So one of the key things, thank you for that question, because one of the key things you will often see, which was started from earlier in the year, is debushing of the lines, cutting trees that are in close proximity to the lines. You would see us also doing some amount of what we call structural work in terms of poles, in some cases reinforcing poles, changing poles in some cases. But the critical one that customers can assist us with is with the trees. And the easiest way to deal with the problem is to prevent it.
I agree.
And first thing I want to ask of our customers and residents is to please do not plant trees near the line. A lot of times when we're planting trees, we don't look up to see where the trees are going to grow to until they get there.
I feel as if some people don't expect the tree to grow. When you pass a development and see a palm tree planted in the sidewalk.
Yes. Please do not plant the trees near the power line. And sometimes you plant the trees in your backyard, but guess what? In a storm, it grows so big, the apple tree grows so big, and in a storm, when it blows down, it blows onto the power
Right
line.
onto the, yes.
That delays our ability to restore power to you, because what happens when we come to restore your area, we may have to isolate that section of the line and restore everybody else until we can come and cut off that tree.
Okay.
Because we're trying to restore as many people as quickly as possible. So some things you have to isolate and come back and deal with.
Yes.
And this is another thing that frustrates customers. So please, that's a way customers can help us.
So now
Trees away from the line.
here's a practical consideration, because I have two giant trees that are at least 100 years old, and they're right by the side of the road.
You're 100 years old?
The trees, if you see those trees, I once requested a quotation on the cost to take down parts of those trees, and it was like in excess of $500,000. A citizen who has a tree of that size close to the power lines is not likely to, the average citizen won't really
anything
even
about
think
it.
of undertaking that cost. Is that something that JPS does, asking for a friend?
So we evaluate each situation.
Yes.
And depending on the situation, we decide. Because the truth is, sometimes it may not be in what we call our right of way.
Yes.
Because it still presents a danger, and if you try to cut it yourself, you probably will cause damage to our system.
Right.
And we have to take it on. So it depends. We evaluate each situation situation, and then we determine what's the best way
Oh,
forward.
all right. I know two giant trees that need evaluation.
Okay. But the problem we face actually is resistance from residents for us to cut the trees.
Okay.
I can tell you it's a real problem for our teams. Our teams have been threatened, have had their lives threatened when we try
Yes, especially if it's fruit-bearing trees that or shade trees that are precious to the
Yes.
homeowner.
And you know, for me, recently I personally have had to deal with two cases of young men, no more than about 20, who lost their lives in these trees picking breadfruit.
Yes. Ooh,
And,
because it was too
you know,
close to the
sometimes
power
persons
line.
don't- Yes. And it's not usually the owners of the tree, it's usually persons who they ask to do the picking for them.
Yes, yes,
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I just want to take the moment before I get off.
yes.
Nobody's life is
It's worth it.
So
Absolutely.
please, when our guys come to cut the trees from the lines, please allow them to do that. It could be the difference between life and death. You never know who's going to climb that tree and lose their life. And that's what we're trying to prevent. We're not trying to be mean or,
Yes, or
the environment and all
bullying.
of that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not what it's about. We're trying to protect. When we come to cut trees from near power lines in neighborhoods, it's two things. The first thing is public safety. We don't want to get news of somebody getting injured or losing their life. And secondly, it's also to protect your power supply.
The power
because
supply.
When trees are touching the lines, the number one cause of outages in Jamaica for outages is
Trees.
vegetation, trees touching the line.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Mr. Tommy, it is interesting that we are ending where we started, emphasizing your company's care and concern for the safety of your customers, as well as for the consistency or reliability of service. Thank you very much. I do want us to speak again, perhaps on another occasion. I think one visit is never enough to emphasize these things, and we want you to come in studio.
Oh.
Well, outdoor studio. It's a, but yes, but I realize now that you are all the way down in the west.
Yes.
Ah,
And I
so
understand why she prays so much, because
Yes.
that has more trees and than any place else.
Oh, yes.
All right.
We have to keep it beautiful.
and you
All
have to
right.
keep it beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
We have enjoyed talking to you. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye. It's interesting.
It's now 2 minutes past 9 o'clock, and we're going to take our break and come back to you as quickly as possible. Welcome back to the Morning Connection as we enter the final hour of this morning's program. We just want to thank Mr. Tommy again for sharing with us. 17 years with JPS. One of the things that is just impressing me, of course, I know that we are known for being loyal and for being, what else, Percy?
Strong, persistent, persevering. You want to go on and on?
No, I know. I'm just making sure I get your attention.
No, man, I'm
But-
there, yeah.
But it is impressive that JPS has such long-serving, high-quality women
Yeah, all the
who
ladies
are
back
working
home.
on the front line.
I
Yes.
think the minimum is about 15 years.
Yes, yeah, and not one of them look it. So it
Yeah,
means
that was the greatest part about it. I found it, yeah. Beautiful woman.
and you should know because you do a lot of weddings
Yes, yes,
where the women are looking at their best.
yes.
But I do thank her for her contribution. And we ended on such an important note to please remember that the trees which are so close or have the ability to be so close to the power lines constitute a serious risk to health and safety for individuals. We have a huge guinea tree that is right by the side of the road because one of our boundaries right up to the road. And many times we get guinea because we see a man up there picking the guineas. So sometimes it's not even, you don't even ask people to be on the tree.
The man I make money.
Yes, but I think JPS
Guineas are
has trimmed
sweet.
I think they've trimmed that tree from time to time.
Guineas are sweet.
Because and then we have like 2 guango trees. Lowell is the one that likes the guineps.
The guango is
To me, they're always stainy.
Oh, it always guineas are always stained.
There you go. So I
They
can't
reach
see
out for
past.
fruit.
I can't move past the stain.
I don't want it anymore and things.
Yeah. So that's a huge safety issue. In or out of hurricane season, it's very important. It is very important that citizens allow the trees to be trimmed. You know, it is God who caused the tree to grow. If you trim it, it will grow back.
It grows
I promise
even
you.
faster. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's part of the pruning that happens in our lives naturally.
Absolutely. It's not like if the barber cut your hair at a certain time, it don't grow back. And Percy is well pruned today too.
And it grows back with great
And it grow back.
with great
There you go.
So
There you
it's prune
go.
and cut.
Nature replenishes itself. Do not worry. I mean, cutting down the tree altogether might be
It's
an
a
issue,
different
but
thing.
usually they don't. You just need to trim it back so it is out of harm's way.
But we've had to do that.
Trees of a certain age, though, need to be taken down.
Yeah, because
They get hollow inside,
Yeah,
termites.
you're right,
Yeah,
eating it.
we had a situation where a tree on one of our boundaries had been hollowed out, and during bad weather, it
just-
fell
it just-
onto the neighbor's car park and damaged a car.
oh,
Someone had parked a car in that area. Thank God it was an old car and not in use, and we did contribute to repair. It was a damaged car, so it didn't cost us too much, and they were trying to extract some additional monies out of us for something else. And I said to them, well, if you're gonna go that far, we're gonna talk about the stench that is emanating from your property as you release effluent into mine. And the conversation dried up.
somebody could actually do that.
Yes.
So why do they allow for?
I gather if you drive through, and you know it because you travel that road, if you're coming on Long Lane up, there's a point at which you get this awful stench
And it's
coming from
somebody's house?
it's coming from the development on one of our boundaries.
Yeah.
And you can see at a certain hour of the day, you see the water pouring out of the pipe, it's pipe, yeah, that is there. You see it pouring
It's
out.
called NEPA.
And we've reported it. I noticed it hasn't been so bad recently.
No,
So
if anything you're releasing in
Yeah.
the environment, which is effluent or waste, NEPA can come in and says you need to do it because there's a patch of road that's on Whitehall Avenue and it has just gone bad. And you know what it is? Yeah, the
yes,
school.
what is-
Come on.
It's from
And
the school. It's
not
coming
from
out
the school.
from the
It's from
school.
people yard. and
Oh,
people
okay,
running out
okay.
And it's not fixing. And And when you drive, it's like you're going through a crater. It was almost like the swimming pool.
The swimming pool in St. Thomas.
No,
Yes.
man, it's serious, man.
Yeah, we do need to be more careful in safeguarding our environment where some of those issues are concerned.
then the other,
But Pastor is showing me a headline.
The other concern before you go to the headline, it's in the Observer today, is with the regulations being enacted for disabilities, now government, whoever can be sued because of what is happening with our sidewalks. People just doing things on sidewalks and they have no concern for the disabled and their movement around. We have to do something about that. And I'm raising it again because it's of great concern to me with the blind and those who have disabilities who are in wheelchairs. We have to be more accommodating for the disabled within our country. And of course, I needed to show that to you because you made a point yesterday. We were talking about gangsterism and somebody in private WhatsApp me privately and said, it's true, government are gangster. And I don't believe
Yesterday, all right now, Pastor, just say it as it is. Yesterday, perhaps it was really me, but I know we were speaking about this perception and the attitude of governments, both sides, not any one administration, seeing the citizens as prey. And I remember saying P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. I said they're preying on the people. And I said predators. Government of successive administrations have treated the Jamaican citizenry as prey, which means they are predators. Do you know what the headline on the Observer says?
This morning,
the Prime Minister says,
we are not predators.
Government not predators.
You think he will listen to the program?
Well, listen, whether he listens to the program or not, I always love it when the spirit of truth is speaking in the same vein to everybody. There it is. Headline, government not a predator.
He's talking about the census because people are saying that.
Well, actually, he's talking about citizens hiding information from government. When, if it's a census, and I understand this point, you'd never want to tell them the truth about your situation because you're convinced they're going to use it against you. And they're going to use it in some way that turns out to be punitive and to your disadvantage. That emanates from a lack of trust, and it emanates from the perception that government take advantage.
But interestingly,
so he does have to address that frontally and break that perception that we are the prey and they are the predators. Honestly, that is how I feel now. I used to be able to say whatever I need to my bank. Full disclosure, I always believe there are some professionals that you deal with in business who must receive full disclosure so they can give you the best advice. My bank used to be amongst those.
Yeah, that's a sure.
No longer. When a bank is hunting you down to fill out a form for the US government and they know you're not doing, there's been a bank for years, they know you're not doing foreign exchange, this or that, or working in certain sectors or whatever. But they're telling you that the forms that they are compelled to complete for the purpose of their safety and security with their foreign counterparts, that it's more important than their relationship with you. When they are prepared to close your accounts and to disclose your information to third parties because they see it as being in their best interest, they are no longer to be trusted. And that's how I look at it. Similarly, when you are doing business with entities that ask you for a TCC, now they're doing government work. That's how I look at it. And when you're asking me for certain documentation, I become concerned that the privacy of my information is no longer guaranteed.
No, that's not.
That's
so
what it
because
is.
People say when you go on the net and all of these cookies that they're saying and so on a daily basis, they're divulging your information to this. But I don't know what I'm doing with it. Some people say it's the way of the world. I'm not so sure in a lot of things it's the way of the world. We just have to be so careful in terms of who we give our information with and what they're gonna do with that information when they have it.
But there's even while we talk about privacy and how sacred it is or not, there are some things, some risks which you are prepared to bear because you are as much a predator as the next guy where that is concerned. And it is that sense of equality, or how do I put it now? It's that sense of balance that allows you to function in the world. Because if someone sends you a document and you can use it as you see fit, and when you send them theirs, you know that they can use it as they see fit. That's fair. There's a little balance to that arrangement. But when you're at the mercy of a superpower or someone who can really inflict harm and you can't inflict similar harm.
Can't do anything about it.
That is where I draw the line. I really don't worry about someone with whom there is fair play.
Okay.
You can do it, I can do it.
I agree with you about that one.
Then we have like a sort of mutual self-destruction assurance. You have nuclear, me have nuclear. That will keep us honest. But what could I ever do to the government? If you decide, or a bank that have your money and know your business and so on. And what I see some of the banks do, if you offend them, they call all of your loans
in.
And then you're blacklisted now. You can't go to another bank because they all share information. And you become aware that this is the kind of consortium and conspiracy that you are up against. Then you become cagey. Then you don't want to give any information to anyone, or you give deliberately misleading information. Last night, I don't know what inspired it, but last night, Lowell was invited to speak. A very nice interview he had on bitter sugar, or Brother Miguel Lorne. It's just amazing to me. Out of the blue, Miguel called up Lowell and said, he's following up on an issue. And they had a conversation about Carousel. Miguel was revisiting what transpired with Carousel, and the conversation. If you have an opportunity to listen to the interview, I think Lowell recorded it, or it's available online. You can find it. But the conversation delved into really the unequal power that exists between citizen trying to do something and government who is determined to stamp you out. In that fight, your best bet is to avoid that fight.
That's true. Unless you're a David ready to take out a Goliath.
Unless you are a David who takes out a Goliath, but Goliath was a known enemy. It is very hard as a citizen to treat your government as a known enemy.
But and it's based on, that's why the Prime Minister to come out communal and say we are not predators, because he's getting a sense that most of the people in Jamaica say, we can't trust you, so we get that information from.
But it's one thing to come out and say it. It's a good start to say that's not our intention. The next step is to demonstrate now by the manifestation of truth and integrity. Always.
When we eat in the pudding, then we recognize that it is really so, and it's not just about talk.
Because was it yesterday or the day before you said if it looks like a duck and it's walk like a duck and it quacks like a duck, and I said it's a chicken. Because when you eat it, it might taste like chicken.
Really, but
you said the proof of the pudding. When you get to the proof of the pudding, then you gotta bite it first to see if it really is a duck.
Yes.
Could be a chicken. I know. I love mixed metaphors.
Like the eagle and the eagle who thought himself a chicken until he was set free.
Yeah, Percival, that was a very sad story. He was never set free. You don't remember the story. You told it to us. The eagle thought he was a chicken and kept looking at the eagles flying and saying, oh, I wish I could fly like that. And he never did.
No, it did. The end of the story did.
No. Looked up the story. Never did.
He never did?
He never did.
The story he did.
Well, I did read from Hans Christian Andersen about the emperor's clothing. In the version of the story that I used to read to my child, the emperor had on his knickers.
Oh, but in the real translation, he was naked.
He was quite naked. But I guess when you sanitize it for 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
You don't want that to force a parent to be in a conversation about a naked emperor out on the street.
And I'd love for us to, as we revisited it and we got into the details of the emperor and his new clothes and the fact that you pointed out that the people themselves were fooled into believing. You remember the
Yeah,
thing
man,
that
they
you
were
were
complicit in
debating?
it.
Yes. And Jamaicans have we become complicit in terms of the behavior of our government. We don't want to speak out because we don't want to be seen as being foolish or
Yes.
illiterate or thing. Because we've seen the things and the simplicity of it says, you know, Mr. Morgan, that's a lie. Stop. We don't want to
Do
come.
you remember the caller who said to us that people are listening to our show, and it is making an impact, even though on other talk shows they're laughing at us?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, because
Did it? I'm gonna ask you now, Percy. I know you're an anointed man and you don't mess about with the truth, but did it feel a little weird to hear that people are laughing at us?
no.
It didn't feel weird? You're accustomed to hearing that?
You see people laughing at me. And what I'm saying.
Are you serious?
Yes, me who's tweeting.
Give me an example.
I've been in forums that I said to people, guys, if you do that, that's when you know what you're talking about. Let me say, all right. So said, so done. The thing, I saw it, I spoke it out in the clear, and I said, guys, based on this action, this is what's going to say. Nah, man, it's not going to happen.
No, but that's not that's a different. No, that's not the same.
You don't think so?
No, it's not the same. Not the same. Not the same kind of laughing at. Not the same kind of laughing at.
Yeah, but well, who's laughing now? Because people are switching from other programs to listen to us, so we are getting the last laugh. the whole sense of it.
Well, it felt kind of strange to me to hear someone say it. First, I was thinking, who has the time to listen to somebody else and laugh at them? It's like that. First, that crossed my mind. Like, would I really go and listen to someone's program that's
Just to
different
pick-
from mine
just to pick
and
fun at them.
say what foolishness they're doing? Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But you know, I was taken back to the scripture last night and early this morning.
foolish
The
things
one
like
that
that.
says, "Be not deceived; God is not mocked." For the persons who look at the wisdom of God, who look at those who speak of it, who advocate it with passion, who seek to align themselves with truth and honesty and integrity, and who are wholehearted in their effort to share those principles. If you look at someone who is in that line of business and laugh at them, or decry what they're doing, or maybe even call them corrupt and deceitful because of the line they're taking, you're putting yourself in harm's way. That was in my spirit last night, because I was thinking of a particular individual who I think was just playing twice in my life, persons who recognize how serious I am about this business of the kingdom of God and faith and so on. They sort of play along with me, just kind of, let's humor me net. And in order to get me to do or participate in something. And when I come to recognize that that's what they're doing, it's always had it's very disturbing to my spirit that persons would make that mistake. That is a terrible mistake. If you take the things of God as foolishness, things that are sacred, and you decide that you're gonna treat it like it's a matter of entertainment, or that you can be deceptive in your approach and think it is a good strategy, you really are mocking, and you really are entering into a fight with something more powerful than yourself, a fight that you cannot win. So when I see people doing it, I don't even think about what it means to me personally.
Yeah, but and that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because I try much. Some of the times I mess up, but I try as much as is possible to base what I do based on the principles of the Word of God. And listen to what he said. This is Paul writing to the Corinthians. Instead, God chose the things world considers foolishness in order to shame those who think they are wise, and he chose the things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. That's the New Living Translation of 1 Corinthians 1:27. I was just referring to how God chose to bring about salvation to the world. Everybody thought that what Jesus was doing was stupid, foolish, but he used those simple things. Foolishness confound them, the powerful he confounded them, and we as a result have become victorious. So I am used to being made fun of. I've been in fora, I've been made fun of. What are they talking about? And
You're like, Pastor always I come with that, the foolishness.
yeah, but that's
Okay,
all right.
I can understand. That is real laughing at now.
Yeah, man.
When people say, you always I come with that. Nobody talk. It's one of the reasons, why on this program, I certainly make best efforts to translate the language of faith into contemporary speech and action-oriented speech, so that you don't find that because you believe in a thing, but you believe in it as the way your pastor delivered it to you.
That's the become
Like they'll tell you,
contemporary.
the wages of sin is death.
What does that
Okay.
mean?
You are sitting in the board meeting and you hear your managing director concocting a scheme that is really thievery. You're sitting down, you hear it, and they're saying, oh, we can do it this way, and then if the auditor come, we can show him this, and why we not keep 2 books, whatever it is. You're hearing it. In your spirit, you know that they are on a flawed criminal path. You know that's what they're doing. But the only thing that come to your mind is the wages of sin is death. You can't really get up in the middle of the board meeting and tell them, say the wages of sin is death. What you need to be able to tell them is that this path you're pursuing,
Principle
it
wrong.
is criminal, it is deviating from the truth. It don't matter that it's going to bring profit to the company. You are
Lord.
putting your integrity at risk, and it is only going to end in the death of something. It might be the death of the company. It might be the death of your career. It might actually mean the death of somebody like a chairman who gets shot at the gate of the company because he was messing with some things. You need to know
That's the connection,
how to make that connection.
That is the connection.
So you don't end up saying the thing in a way that causes people to laugh at you because they miss the wisdom of what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's our job here on the Morning Connection.
And it's interesting. Somebody accounted to me. The person has passed now, and they were a director in a company. And what happened? He was like way down the pecking order in terms of who it was, but they came with a scheme. And him said to them, him said, you sure to work 100%, but that is wrong. That will get us in a trouble. He said, no, man, you don't know what you're talking about. So said, so done. The company was caught up with, and the man who came up with the scheme was in prison. And this director was fretting because
He was present in the room.
He was present, but then the man had the decency, the person who concocted the scheme had the decency to say, right from prison. I said, no, he was not a part of any of it, so he let the man go. And that's how the man got off.
I was reading your mind again. Yes, that is what we're trying to do
To read, because
here. Yeah.
I am saying, okay, let us take this even further. A lot of the scandals that have happened in this country is because good people saw it and never said, no, that's wrong, that cannot. It is thievery.
Or they couldn't articulate the principles that it offended in the language that could cause people to be on guard.
Yeah.
And they kept quiet, knowing that something not right.
Something not
And
right.
before you know it,
something not
yeah.
right with it, and them not know how to proper enunciate, to elucidate what it is, but them just know, say something wrong.
is wrong.
Something wrong.
So then I could come now to if it look like a duck. All right, it's 9:30. Let's take our break. When we come back, you will not see Pastor Percival because he has a date.
Yes, I have a date to tie two people together this morning.
No, Percy, that sounds like a criminal offense. Let me speak out. Percy, please do not tie
Join
any
people together in holy matrimony.
Ah, now that is
In
better.
love and celebration of love. Some people say you're tying, but you're not tying nobody this morning. They, of their own free will, have decided that we will enter into a covenant relationship for the rest of our life.
All right, I love it. You're still rehearsing. All right, please stay with us. So, good morning and welcome back. Thank you for those who are hanging in there for the long haul. I always enjoy Thursdays because of the sunshine, I think. So I get to be on my own to close the show. And so I just want to recap a couple of the things that we've been talking about this morning because they're so critical. First, I want to just remind our leaders, our thought leaders, to borrow a line from Finn Partners' assignment as they were covering Miss Kamina Johnson during her caper. Those who are thought leaders, please reflect and understand that in the spiritual realm where everything occurs first, it is necessary that you get on the right side of an issue in order for the issue to give you the desired profitable or prosperous outcome. Whatever the issue is, be on the right side of it. What is the right side? The right side is that which is in alignment with the principles set by your Creator for successful, abundant living. Principles of honor, of justice, of love, of respect, covenant. You could all sum it up in one word, which is love thy neighbor. It's love. It's all about being someone who is loving and supportive and who is looking to advance the interests of others over your own selfish concerns. Yesterday, I used a word to describe what I believe has been the dominant characteristic of successive government administrations since independence. The word I used was predatory. I believe that that is what accounts for our great failure in creating a safe environment for citizens. The citizens simply do not trust the good intention or the actions of those who lead us. And in recent times, we've had an abundant amount of evidence to justify why the trust is at such a low ebb. We've seen runaway corruption in government and waste of public resources to the extent that one professional has said it equals the debt, the external debt. If we had been better stewards of government resources, of public resources, we would be debt-free. That's an amazing conclusion. That is an amazing reality with which we have to contend. That if we had just been careful, we would have so much more for the benefit of our citizens. You can't miss the implication, the significance of that. It's not something you can turn your back on or hide away from it or whatever. I have known for a long time that wealth does not evaporate or disappear. It only changes hands. So to some extent, much of that wealth is still within our shores. Of course, some of it is offshore because these people take the money and use it to enrich other economies. But for the most part, that wealth is still here. It's here in real estate. It's here in the banks. It's here. If we were assiduous about tracking it and making reparations, then we could see some of that wealth returning to the public's coffers. And how would you do that? Some countries just nationalize certain assets. That's what they do. They say, okay, that was built on so and so, it now belongs to the government. But not the same government that allowed it to be stolen in the first place. A government that the people select and a government that is truly accountable to the people. How we get there in a democracy, we get there by fair and free elections. Can we actually accomplish that with the level of rift that exists in so many parts of the social fabric? Who knows? I am a believer in the supernatural power of God, and I know and believe that when He sets certain things in motion, He provides the provision and the strength, the vision, the capability to execute. So I am never challenged by the size of a dream or the enormity of a task, because I think once you begin to chip away at it, you are surprised by how far it can go. I'm going to turn to some of what's been coming out on our chat because I saw one or two questions that I wanted to address. Let's see. Taki listened to the replay of both past Prime Ministers, PJ and Bruce, concerning the arrangements for Jamaica to become a republic, and he says he could see clearly the delay tactics of the other. The question, though, is why didn't PJ address the whole Jamaica during that time of consultation? I too felt enriched by the disclosures they were making, enriched in my understanding, but not my understanding of the past, my understanding of what needs to be done for the future. Right now, we have persons doing the same thing with the same issue. Can we break the cycle? Let's break the cycle. Is the bauxite company still continuing mining operations in light of the contamination of the Rio Cobre? You know, I have to check. The funny thing about it is most times we would know based on the reports coming out of the communities. We haven't had them. They're not on the street anymore, which suggests that something has quieted in the area. But that is something that we need to look out for. I want to close by endorsing a comment made by the Prime Minister as he did what seems to be a daily job for him now, breaking ground for new projects. And at that project, which he was participating in the turning of the soil, he called for a stronger push to monetize culture. Well, you know that I am on this path of opening up a greater understanding of the culture that surrounds and perpetuates wealth and protect it in limited hands. We want to break into that culture for the purpose of redistributing the wealth. And I'm also looking at the wealth that you can amass by monetizing your culture, which is where the Prime Minister is. We already see many Jamaicans of different stripes earning hard currency by being on YouTube, by selling their cultural output. One way or another, cash is coming in as a result of what they're doing. That is in the same cultural landscape. You can start it with just an idea and just a good phone. A good phone and an internet connection and you're up. It's probably the cheapest way to capitalize a business. Your ideas, your cuteness, your smarts, your good singing voice if you can sing. I mean, I saw the blind man who can sing just racking up views upon views. And the more eyes that look at what you're doing, the more money you can earn. It is as simple as that. Jamaica is a very hot commodity right now. Anything we do, I think even if you're not in Jamaica but you put a Jamaica flag in the background of what you're doing, eyes will be drawn to it. So I want persons to understand that there is an almost insatiable appetite for things Jamaican, and there are a lot of legitimate ways that you can get into it. My son had a YouTube channel from he was like 7 or somewhere around there, and all he was doing, he deconstruct and repair ceiling fans. And I think the cuteness of a tiny child's voice narrating his activities, because he knew enough not to let them see his face. Sometimes you see his hand or you might see his foot. But he was doing that, and he's at the point now where he can make money. I think it's weird that now that he's at that point, he's not spending as much time on it. But I'm telling you, the kids are born knowing what to do. So let's give them a framework in which they can do it. But to the Prime Minister who is urging us to monetize the culture, he needs to know that the same kind of diligence that we put into hunting down counterfeit goods and burning up and shutting down and policing the intellectual property of foreigners, we need to have a framework that protects the intellectual property of Jamaicans. There are some fundamental pieces that are missing from the landscape in Jamaica that would anchor it and would give us a place of strength and stability from which to monetize that culture. His interest in it, and if he is government, this should be his interest in seeing an overall increase in the receipt of hard currency into the country. That's what, and then tax dollars will flow. Or even if tax dollars don't flow, people who would normally be leaning on the public purse for health care, for food and welfare support, they would now be independent, and in the overall, we would benefit from it. And anyway, GCTs and everything, the only thing that don't have GCT is the oxygen that you breathe in, but if you were to breathe it in from a tank in the hospital, make sure it have GCT. The only thing we get free right now is the air that we breathe. Even the spectrum, if you try to use it. Let's not go there. But fact of the matter is, the government will always get its share if citizens are earning more money and generating more wealth. Help us to monetize our cultural output by creating a better, stronger, more equitable framework that protects it. We're going to be spending more time talking about it because there are some pieces, some tangible pieces that are a part of building that framework. And it's not about legislation, because we don't want to be in a situation like what's happening with the CLA, where there is legislation, but there is no commercial framework to support monetizing cannabis. Or you set it up in Jamaica, but only foreigners can come in and do something and carry it out. So the government, the country doesn't really benefit. This is where I say so long and thank you and goodbye. And to Taki, who always tell me walk good, let me see. No, there's another comment that I want to see. Delroy Henry has said, what I don't understand is how a person can tell us as a people so many lies and never feel bad about it. My belief, because they are pathological liars. Miss Lawrence, you're not alone. Keep up your good work, says Delroy. Much appreciated. Thank you, Delroy. You have a great weekend as well. We are not going to stop until we win. It's as simple as that. And each of us need to recognize that we are part of a community, and therefore today it's my face and my voice. If I am removed from this scene, another face and another voice looking just like mine and sounding maybe even better than me will take its place. We have to have that commitment to recognize that though we have different bodies, we are really all parts of one body. So I'm just gonna say goodbye and one love. Thank you all for supporting us. You know that this is our Morning Connection weekend starts on Thursday. So have a great weekend and we'll see you again next week. Thank you to those in studio and those right here with me at the Ligani Club. And Pastor Percy, thank you as well. Have a good wedding as you tie the people together. Make sure it's with bonds that don't break. So long.